Lin Shi glanced at Fang Zhengkai. That look made Fang Zhengkai flinch. Lin Shi was the first to make a move during today's chaos, killing the troublemaker. His decisive strike and cold expression made it look like he was just crushing an ant. Not only the survivors, but even Fang Zhengkai was terrified. If it weren't for Lin Shi's decisiveness, Fang Zhengkai probably wouldn't have been able to make a quick decision, unable to go against his conscience to kill ordinary people. Because of this, Fang Zhengkai respected Lin Shi even more, even fearing him a little. "I can tell you," Lin Shi said. He then told Fang Zhengkai about how Lin Tianrui managed the shelter in Sha City. Fang Zhengkai was initially shocked, then startled, and finally understood. It took him half an hour to digest all the information. At this moment, he finally realized the problem with this underground city. He had been wrong from the very beginning. "Captain Fang, once the blizzard outside stops, I'll be leaving," Lin Shi said. In a blizzard, visibility is 0. Without the sun, it's hard to navigate. Even with a compass, it wouldn't be an easy trek. It was best to wait for the snow to stop. A day or two wouldn't make much difference anyway. So soon, Fang Zhengkai tried to persuade Lin Shi to stay a bit longer, but hearing Lin Shi's firm decision to leave, he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. "All right then, Brother Lin, just rest here for the next few days. I'll have someone bring you food." "No need. I brought my own rations," Lin Shi declined. The dried meat he made himself, packed with spices, was much better than the half-raw roasted meat here. Besides, after what happened today, the food Fang Zhengkai could offer would probably just be emergency rations. Fang Zhengkai exchanged a few more polite words, but didn't insist. Not long after Lin Shi returned to his room, Ma Chang led the snow-clearing team back. Hearing about the chaos that broke out in their absence and seeing several teammates injured by opportunistic survivors, everyone was furious. The next day, a series of minor riots broke out in the underground city. Fang Zhengkai tracked down the ringleaders and those who had injured his men today. Right there in the corridor, he broke their limbs with a club, snapped their necks, and threw them out of the underground city. He didn't use a knife because he was afraid the scent of blood would attract origin beasts. The dead men's mouths were gagged to prevent them from screaming. But their muffled groans of pain and terror still sent shivers down everyone's spines. The malicious and hateful glares from the crowd softened significantly. Fang Zhengkai was mimicking Lin Tianrui's management style from the Sha City shelter. But in Lin Shi's eyes, this approach was still too merciful. The rest might be temporarily intimidated, but as long as they were alive, their hatred would inevitably erupt again over time. Lin Shi lay on his bed, thinking about his route ahead. Just then, he noticed someone walking down the narrow hallway leading to his room. This hallway was usually busy at the end of the day, but once the team members returned, the lights would be turned off to save diesel for the underground city. Today, because of the blizzard, no one went out on missions, so the lights had been off since noon. The person approaching was no stranger to Lin Shi. It was the girl Fang Zhengkai had called in for questioning yesterday, whom Lin Shi had chased away. Dai Xiao navigated the darkness from memory. Even though it was pitch black, having lived in the underground city for so long, she knew its layout like the back of her hand. Plus, she had carefully observed the route over the past 3 days when the lights were on, so she wouldn't get lost in the dark. Dai Xiao walked softly, making almost no sound. Nervously clutching her clothes, she stopped in front of Lin Shi's room. The rooms here had no doors, and Lin Shi's was no exception. Dai Xiao only needed to take 2 more steps to enter. Lin Shi sat in the dark, staring at the ceiling, not even bothering to glance at her. He already guessed what this girl wanted to do. Sure enough, Dai Xiao took a few deep breaths and quietly stepped into the room. Thinking Lin Shi couldn't see her, she reached to take off her sweater and crawl into his bed. She was wearing nothing underneath. But just as she loosened her collar, before she could do anything else, a cold voice rang out in the darkness. "Take 1 more step, and I'll kill you." Dai Xiao jumped, her courage instantly vanishing. Today, she had deliberately gone out with Ma Chang and the others. She used clean snow outside to wash herself and changed into clean clothes she had hidden for a long time. Then, she spent the whole day hyping herself up before finally coming to Lin Shi's room after lights out. Dai Xiao wanted to say that she was still young and had washed herself clean. She had worked in the capital for over a year and just turned 18 a few months ago. She had never even dated. Because she was an evolver, and Fang Zhengkai strictly forbade forcing women in the underground city, Dai Xiaoro had never been violated. She wanted to go home. She really wanted to go home. Besides, Dai Xiaoro found Lin Shi handsome and strong. Following him wouldn't be a bad deal. But Lin Shi didn't give her a chance, bluntly stating, "I'm leaving tomorrow. I have no intention of bringing dead weight." Dai Xiaoro bit her lip, refusing to leave, and pleaded, "I won't bother you. I won't ask for food, and I don't need your protection. Just let me follow you. That's all I ask. You can't keep up with my speed. How are you going to follow me?" Dai Xiaoro choked on her words. Lin Shi intended to completely crush this girl's hopes. "Your home is in the Changbai Mountains. You should know it's much colder there than in the capital. It's practically a dead zone. Even a Tier 2 evolver couldn't survive there. Plus, with snow this heavy, the place you want to return to probably doesn't even exist anymore." "No." Dai Xiaoro shook her head, her eyes filling with tears and despair. "No matter what, I have to go back. Please, let me come with you. If my family isn't there anymore, then I'll just die there. I won't bother you anymore." The harsh life in the apocalypse had left Dai Xiaoro feeling numb and exhausted. Even if Lin Shi hadn't shown up, she had planned to wait for the temperature to rise a bit and leave the underground city on her own. Dai Xiaoro could feel the malicious, probing stares of those filthy men whenever they walked past her room. Here, she didn't dare sleep deeply at night, living every day in fear and hunger. If she was destined to die on the way home, then dying sooner or later made no difference. Dai Xiaoro stepped closer, loosening her collar. The sweater slipped off her body. Underneath, she was wearing nothing. The beautiful figure of the young girl in the dark was clearly visible to Lin Shi. Ignoring his warning, she took step after step toward his bed. Dai Xiaoro defied his warning, inching closer. A murderous glint flashed in Lin Shi's eyes. But right at that moment, a voice rang out from outside his room. "Brother Lin, are you in there?" It was Fang Zhengkai's voice. Hearing Fang Zhengkai's voice, the resolute determination in Dai Xiaoro's eyes instantly turned to panic. Her face flushed as if on fire. She hastily snatched her clothes from the floor, threw them on, and bolted out of Lin Shi's room. Offering herself in private was one thing, but being interrupted by someone else was entirely different. Because it was dark, Dai Xiaoro thought Fang Zhengkai wouldn't recognize her, so she fled back the way she came. But in reality, the moment Dai Xiaoro ran up the corridor, Fang Zhengkai had already spotted her. The senses of a Tier 4 evolver were incredibly sharp, not to mention he possessed mental abilities. He just chose not to expose her. At first, Fang Zhengkai thought these two young people, Dai Xiaoro and Lin Shi, would be like dry wood meeting a spark tonight. Little did he know Dai Xiaoro had a different motive, recklessly challenging the bottom line of a lone wolf. Dai Xiaoro had no idea that if it weren't for Fang Zhengkai, she would have definitely died here today. After she left, Lin Shi's expression finally softened. He called out to the hallway, "Captain Fang, what is it?" "Nothing much, just wanted to ask if you're hungry. I haven't eaten yet." "Brother Lin, do you want to come out and eat with me?" "Thanks, Captain Fang, but no need. I've already eaten," Lin Shi declined. He knew Fang Zhengkai showed up because he didn't want that girl to die. Anyway, as long as his bottom line wasn't provoked, he couldn't be bothered to kill a nobody. The night passed quietly. The next morning, when Lin Shi opened his eyes, the blizzard outside had stopped. He casually wiped his face, stepped out of his room, and went straight to say goodbye to Fang Zhengkai. Fang Zhengkai exchanged a few pleasantries and escorted Lin Shi to the surface. "Brother Lin, be careful on your journey. I might be leaving here soon to head south. Who knows, we might have a chance to meet again." Fang Zhengkai bid Lin Shi farewell, expressing his deep gratitude for the information Lin Shi had provided. He realized Lin Shi was right. Staying here to protect these people wouldn't earn him any gratitude. It would only make them resent him more. The apocalypse belongs to the strong, not the weak. Lin Shi waved his hand, leaving behind a "see you around," before quickly departing. Ma Chong watched Lin Shi's retreating back and said, "Captain Fang, I think this young man." Fang Zhengkai gestured for Ma Chong to be quiet. "Don't make assumptions. Just do your job well." After leaving the underground city area, Lin Shi retracted his spiritual power, took out his snowboard, and sped away like a shooting star. Not long after he left the underground city, a stealthy figure opened the door and slipped out. The freezing outside air made her shiver slightly. Dai Xiaoro looked at Lin Shi's footprints in the snow, adjusted her small backpack, and gritted her teeth to chase after him. Lin Shi naturally didn't expect this girl to be so foolish and reckless as to follow him. His speed on the snowboard was much faster than his top running speed. Even a normal Tier 6 origin beast would have a hard time catching up. Dai Xiaoro hadn't even run a few kilometers before she felt the blood in her body freezing. Her limbs went stiff, and she collapsed into the snow. Right before she passed out, she vaguely saw a snow-white origin beast approach her, grab her clothes in its mouth, and drag her unconscious body away. Ji Province wasn't far from the capital. At Lin Shi's speed, it took less than a day to arrive. Along the way, he casually slaughtered a few origin beasts. He maintained his spiritual power, confirmed he had reached Ji Province, and then, relying on the information gathered from the underground survivors, set off to find the Changbai Mountains. Freezing winds howled across the Changbai Mountains. Li Chun and his men had been here for over 10 days. They had ridden beasts from the Middle East into the mountains, searching every hill and valley, but still hadn't found a single wild ginseng. This caused Li Chun, who always maintained a calm facade, to start losing his patience. "Uncle Zhang, still no sign of the wild ginseng?" Li Chun asked the man in his 50s, who was still very sharp. Before the apocalypse, Zhang Fugui had lived at the foot of the Changbai Mountains for over 50 years and had been digging for ginseng for 30 years. He had exceptional experience in finding wild ginseng. He was saved by Li Chun right at the beginning of the apocalypse, and a few months ago, Li Chun helped him break through to Tier 3. Zhang Fugui, who was originally old and frail, felt rejuvenated, as if his body had been reborn. He was incredibly grateful to Li Chun for always treating him so well, so he poured all his effort into searching the mountains for wild ginseng. But after the apocalypse, the Changbai Mountains were covered in thick snow. Even if there was wild ginseng, mutated wild ginseng would hardly be visible under such a heavy layer of snow. 10 days of searching with no results made Zhang Fugui, who had placed all his faith in Li Chun, start to feel anxious and uneasy. "I'm sorry, Xiao Chun. The snow is too thick. It's really hard to find." A flash of blind rage crossed Li Chun's eyes, but he kept a smile on his face. "It's okay. Uncle Zhang, you've been working hard. Don't worry. As long as we find one surviving wild ginseng, I'll give you more supplies than you could ever use." Zhang Fugui's eyes reddened. He had never met such a good patron. He nodded vigorously. "Rest assured, Xiao Chun, even if I have to turn this entire mountain upside down, I will find it." Li Chun nodded and ordered his subordinates to continue clearing the snow. This time, he didn't bring the old man's two uncles. He only brought his own subordinates. Because if he found a high-tier mutated plant, he would use it himself. He absolutely wouldn't bring it back to that old geezer. He was currently at Tier 4, the strongest among the younger generation of the Li family. His talent was outstanding, especially his aptitude for cultivation, unmatched by anyone in his generation. Yet, Li Chun still felt his advancement was too slow. If Li Hongli, the head of the Li family, broke through to Tier 6 before him, he would lose any chance of fighting for the position of family head. This was his last chance. As long as he found a mutated plant and broke through to Tier 5, he would overpower the weakening Li Hongli and become the strongest in the Li family. When that time came, the entire Li family would be his. Li Chun stared at Zhang Fugui, who was digging intently, a grand ambition and a sharp glint appearing at the corner of his mouth. Just as Li Chun was plotting his grand scheme, he suddenly heard an excited shout. "Found it! I found it! It's trying to run." Li Chun's face tightened. His spiritual power swept down toward the mutated ginseng. He quickly pulled Zhang Fugui aside, grabbed a shovel, and started digging himself. This ginseng was even larger than the mutated ginseng Lin Shi had encountered before. Upon being discovered, it desperately burrowed into the ground. Li Chun wasn't Lin Shi. He didn't have such powerful origin power. Plus, the ground was frozen solid, so he could only watch helplessly as the ginseng vanished before his eyes. He could only use his spiritual power to lock onto it. "Idiots! What are you standing around for? Get over here and help me dig." Zhang Fugui had been thrown into the snow by Li Chun. Seeing Li Chun digging like a madman, Zhang Fugui suddenly felt that this young man, who always acted so respectful, seemed very strange. But he didn't have time to overthink it. He quickly got up and joined the digging. When Lin Shi arrived at the Changbai Mountains, he saw that someone had beaten him to it. He was slightly taken aback. Lin Shi realized that Li Chun and his group weren't ordinary survivors. 1 Tier 4 Evolver and 9 Tier 3 Evolvers. With this kind of strength, he wouldn't believe it if someone told him they weren't from a hidden family. Lin Shi didn't dwell on it. If he could figure out there might be mutated ginseng here, why couldn't others? Using his spiritual power, he also noticed that Li Chun and his men were digging up a mutated ginseng that was trying to escape. This one was no smaller than the mutated ginseng he had encountered before. Lin Shi's eyes lit up, but he didn't approach immediately. Murder and robbery weren't out of the question, but he could just wait for them to dig it up before snatching it. Lin Shi's spiritual power swept over Li Chun and his men, assessing their strength, but Li Chun didn't detect Lin Shi's presence at all. The gap in their spiritual power was simply too vast. Li Chun had no way of sensing him. He used his spiritual power to keep an eye on the group and the ginseng, then released the long-armed ape and Kika the rabbit. Steering clear of the peak where Li Chun's group was, he went to search for other mutated plants on the mountain slopes. With Kika and the long-armed ape, Lin Shi didn't need to painstakingly clear the snow like Li Chun's group. If Kika and the ape found something, they would start digging. Lin Shi didn't even have to lift a finger. Meanwhile, Lin Shi continuously used his spiritual power to scan underground. Although limited by the density of the soil and rocks, with his current spiritual power, probing down 2,000 or 3,000 meters was a piece of cake. The Changbai Mountains were only about 2,000 or 3,000 meters high anyway. Therefore, Lin Shi's speed in finding mutated plants was even faster than Kika and the long-armed ape. The long-armed ape was restricted by Lin Shi. It could only locate the mutated plants and leave the digging to Kika and Gigi. Lin Shi also noticed that the long-armed ape wasn't as efficient at finding mutated herbs as Kika. After all, before the apocalypse, this little creature relied on foraging for herbs to eat. Digging was a profession for experts. Seeing the long-armed ape looking a bit down, Lin Shi promised to give it a chance to show off next time, then stored it back into his space. The Demon King stood guard nearby. Its snow-white fur now blended almost perfectly with the white snow. From a distance, you couldn't even tell there was such a massive dog there. As for Lin Shi, dressed entirely in white with a white bone mask on his face, he also blended flawlessly into the vast white expanse of heaven and earth from afar. Gigi and Kika had long since gone underground to dig. A day passed. Thanks to the teamwork of 1 man and 3 beasts, they dug up a mutated ginseng and another herb that Lin Shi didn't recognize. Lin Shi inspected them. 1 Tier 2, 1 Tier 3. This harvest was very promising. After all, this was only his first day in the Changbai Mountains. As for Li Chun's group, whom Lin Shi had been keeping an eye on, right before dark, they finally managed to dig up that ginseng, which was likely Tier 4. Li Chun tasted a strand of the wild ginseng root and instantly realized it was a rare, high-tier mutated plant. He went mad with joy, hugging the ginseng tightly and laughing uproariously. Ha ha! Heaven is helping me. Just wait until I get back, you damn old geezer. The entire Li family will be mine. 3 years of scheming, and now that he had harvested this ginseng, Li Chun couldn't hide his emotions. He laughed maniacally, tightly gripping the nearly human-sized mutated ginseng. His eyes were so full of greed they were practically tearing up. Tier 5. I will definitely be the strongest youth in the Li family. Aside from the ancestors, I'll be the first to reach Tier 5. Ha ha ha. Li Chun was still fantasizing about being the strongest youth to reach Tier 5. But he didn't know that Lin Shi, who was several years younger than him, was already at Tier 6. Even in the dark underground, Li Chun's companions, all Tier 3, clearly saw his usually gentle face twist into a ferocious expression. It sent shivers down everyone's spine. Zhang Fugui, in particular, hastily took 2 steps back. Li Chun didn't notice the strange atmosphere around him. He was in a hurry to find a safe place to consume the ginseng and advance. Wild ginseng significantly boosted spiritual power and vitality, meaning lifespan. But it was also highly attractive to origin beasts. Its scent could draw them from far away. Li Chun had read all of this in the records left by the Li family ancestors. There were many origin beasts on the mountain, especially in the Changbai Mountains. Perhaps attracted by the mutated plants, the origin beasts here were also very strong. If they were surrounded, his subordinates would hardly survive. Li Chun planned to leave the Changbai Mountains before eating the ginseng. Since it was dark, Li Chun and his men rested right in the pit they had dug. Li Chun slept hugging the ginseng tightly, terrified someone would steal it. He didn't know that in the darkness, a stream of spiritual power had already locked onto the ginseng in his arms. Lin Shi also dug a pit to rest with Jiji and Kika. He covered the pit, leaving only a ventilation hole, had the Demon King stand guard, and then closed his eyes to rest. The next morning, Lin Shi woke up. Li Chun and his group didn't wake up late either. As Lin Shi headed down the mountain toward Li Chun's camp, Li Chun and his men were also just coming down. Li Chun's spiritual power swept over Lin Shi. Discovering a person appearing in the desolate Changbai Mountains, where humans were practically extinct, instantly put him on high alert, especially since Lin Shi was alone. And he was accompanied by a massive beast that looked incredibly dangerous to mess with. Looking at Lin Shi and the beast, Li Chun suddenly remembered the news he received from Li Dihai over 3 months ago about his death in Tibet. Among the survivors in Tibet, a white-haired angel riding a snow-white beast had appeared. The angel brought divine punishment, wiping out the entire Assam camp. When he first heard the news, Li Chun was dismissive, thinking it was just the desperate delusions of people comforting themselves. But now, seeing Lin Shi and the beast appear, Li Chun suddenly realized it might not be fake. It just wasn't an angel, but a powerhouse so strong they could slaughter tens of thousands of people in a camp. Li Chun couldn't help but shudder. The Tier 4 giant tiger beneath him also stopped. "What's wrong, master?" Li Chun's subordinate asked in confusion. At this moment, Lin Shi was at the very edge of Li Chun's spiritual power range. The subordinates hadn't noticed him yet. Li Chun abruptly changed direction and roared, "Run!" Li Chun's subordinates and Zhang Fugui were all stunned. Li Chun had already turned around, riding his Tier 4 tiger, and vanished into the distance. After the master, Li Chun's subordinates were well trained. Without asking why, they immediately gave chase. Zhang Fugui was a beat slower. How was he supposed to run? He wasn't skilled at controlling origin beasts yet. By the time he ordered his beast to turn around, Li Chun and his subordinates had already disappeared. "Xiao Chun, wait for me," Zhang Fugui yelled, then urged the Tier 3 wolf beneath him to hurry. But the Tier 3 wolf's legs suddenly gave out, and it collapsed to the ground, refusing to budge. Zhang Fugui frantically smacked the wolf's head a few times. "Damn it, go! We won't make it in time. What's wrong with you? You were running faster than a flying arrow before, and now your legs are weak." Right at that moment, a shadow loomed over him. A giant, snow-white wolf appeared to Zhang Fugui's left. The Demon King's appearance made the gray wolf beneath Zhang Fugui tremble even more violently. Only then did Zhang Fugui realize that a massive white wolf had appeared beside him at some point. Along the way, Zhang Fugui had seen Li Chun and his men kill many origin beasts, and he had seen wolf packs, but he had never seen a wolf so beautiful and majestic. Its fur was white as snow, its back broad, its foreclaws sturdy and powerful. Its bizarre red and blue eyes seemed to pierce right through a person's soul. However, no matter how beautiful the Demon King was, it was still an origin beast, even larger than Li Chun's tiger. The wolf beneath Zhang Fugui was shivering in terror. No wonder Li Chun ran so fast. He must have spotted this giant wolf early on. That little bastard, burning the bridge after crossing the river. Along the way, Li Chun's subordinates had protected Zhang Fugui, so he had absolutely no combat experience himself. Now that Li Chun and his subordinates had fled, Zhang Fugui felt he was dead for sure. He stared at the Demon King, his face pale with fear. But the Demon King only paused for a moment, glanced at Zhang Fugui, and then bolted in the direction Li Chun had fled. Zhang Fugui thought he had escaped death and breathed a sigh of relief. But before the smile could fully form on his face, it froze. "Who are you?" Lin Shi suddenly spoke from his right, startling Zhang Fugui. Zhang Fugui had been so focused on the Demon King that he had no idea when Lin Shi had appeared. In fact, Lin Shi had been standing next to him for quite a while. Are you with that white wolf?" Zhang Fugui stammered in fear, but he wasn't stupid. A man and a wolf appearing on both sides at the same time. No wonder that huge wolf didn't eat him. Zhang Fugui calmed himself down and said, "I'm a ginseng digger. My name is Zhang Fugui." Lin Shi frowned. "Who is he, and who are the people with him?" Lin Shi asked. He had already killed almost all the experts of the Qi family. Even if there were survivors, they couldn't pose a threat. These people spoke Chinese, so 9 times out of 10, they were from Xia country or belonged to some hidden family. Zhang Fugui wasn't stupid. Having been abandoned by Li Chun, he naturally wasn't going to keep his mouth shut for him. He detailed the identities of Li Chun and his group. Li Chun belonged to one of the hidden families, the Li family, headquartered in the Middle East. Lin Shi looked like he understood. It was exactly as he had guessed. He had already sent the Demon King to chase after the fugitives. The strongest among them was only a Tier 4 Evolver and a Tier 4 Origin Beast. Even if the opponent was from a hidden family, with the Demon King's strength, it was more than enough to handle them. Zhang Fugui looked at Lin Shi nervously. Although Lin Shi showed no expression, Zhang Fugui felt that this young man was not someone to be trifled with. Just as Zhang Fugui finished providing the information, the Demon King's battle also concluded. The 8 Tier 3 Evolvers and their Origin Beasts were completely wiped out. The Demon King trotted back behind the Tier 4 Giant Tiger. Slumped on the tiger's back was Li Chun, covered in blood, heading toward Lin Shi. Even unconscious, Li Chun still tightly clutched the mutated wild ginseng to his chest. Seeing the Demon King bring back a survivor, Lin Shi was a bit surprised, as he hadn't ordered it to do so. The Demon King was very smart. It wouldn't bring someone back alive for no reason. The Demon King ran up to Lin Shi and dropped a large backpack in front of him. Inside the backpack were some of the Li family's pills, along with weapons. These pills were similar to the ones Lin Shi had obtained from the Qi family before, one type for healing injuries and boosting origin power. The other type stimulated potential, leading to mutual destruction. It was just that the quantity of pills far exceeded Lin Shi's expectations. Over 100 pills. These pills contained even more origin power than gene serums. What a pleasant surprise. The weapons were all origin weapons, including a Tier 2 Tang sword. This set of gear was even better than Qi Yan's. That meant this person's status in the Li family must be very high. Lin Shi focused his attention on Li Chun. The giant tiger cautiously approached the Demon King and lowered its head, letting Li Chun tumble into the snow. "Xiao Chun!" Zhang Fugui cried out, hastily jumping off the giant wolf to check on Li Chun's injuries. Even though Zhang Fugui felt Li Chun might not be as polite as he seemed, having abandoned him earlier, the gratitude for saving his life over 3 months ago wasn't easily erased. Li Chun was very good at manipulating people. As long as he deemed someone useful, he would wear a mask of kindness for a long time, offering small favors to earn their loyalty. Even if one day he did something completely out of character or ruthless, it would only disappoint them, not make them abandon him immediately, leaving him room to maneuver. "Wake him up," Lin Shi said. "What?" Zhang Fugui thought Lin Shi was talking to him and was about to shake Li Chun. Unexpectedly, the Demon King walked over and gave Li Chun a light swat, sending him rolling several times. Feeling his entire body ache, Li Chun woke up. He struggled to his feet. Seeing Lin Shi, his pupils shrank, and then he glanced at the Demon King, revealing a look of sheer terror. Just moments ago, his subordinates had been slaughtered by this snow-white giant wolf in mere breaths, without any chance to fight back, faster than chicks meeting a wolf. Even taking the berserk pills didn't help. As for him, if he hadn't willingly offered up the mutated wild ginseng to beg for his life at the critical moment, he would definitely be dead by now. This human could command such a powerful origin beast. His strength was definitely no weaker than this giant wolf. Li Chun knelt in the snow, crawled over to Lin Shi, and took out the mutated wild ginseng he was still clutching tightly to his chest. Holding it up high, he said respectfully, "Boss, I am Li Chun, the great-grandson of the current head of the Li family. I offer this mutated wild ginseng to you, boss. Only a powerhouse like you is worthy of such a high-tier wild ginseng." Lin Shi frowned, looking down at Li Chun, a hint of surprise flashing in his eyes. Yesterday, when using his spiritual power to observe Li Chun's group, Lin Shi had noticed him. Li Chun, with his aura and attire, was clearly someone who had lived a life of luxury. His status and position were definitely not low. From the Qi family members before, he could tell that people from hidden families highly valued their honor and face. As the great-grandson of the current family head, and a Tier 4 evolver at that, for him to just kneel down in front of him and endure such humiliation. Li Chun was definitely not a simple character. Lin Shi didn't let his guard down. He slowly reached out to Li Chun and took the mutated ginseng from his hands. Throughout the process, Li Chun showed no killing intent or threat, maintaining his kneeling, head-bowed posture, a picture of sincere humility. Lin Shi glanced at the ginseng. Overall, it was quite intact, missing only a small piece of root, likely tested for its medicinal properties. He tossed the ginseng to the Demon King, telling it to inspect it. Then, Lin Shi focused his attention back on Li Chun, his gaze flickering unpredictably. Li Chun caught a glimpse of Lin Shi casually tossing such a precious ginseng to an origin beast, making him feel that Lin Shi was even more unfathomable. To not even care about such a precious ginseng, what did that prove? It proved that the person in front of him had seen, or even tasted, better or far more mutated plants. Li Chun's guess wasn't wrong. Lin Shi had indeed seen and tasted many bizarre mutated plants. But Lin Shi still highly valued this high-tier ginseng. He just trusted the Demon King very much. Behind him, the Demon King cast a disdainful glance at the ginseng, not even bothering to sniff it. Seeming to sense Lin Shi's killing intent, Li Chun carefully raised his head, revealing a cautious, flattering look. Boss, our Li family is one of the 4 great hidden families. Besides us, there's the Qi family, the Chun family, and the Wang family. The Qi family is stationed in Xia country. Our Li family is in the Middle East, the Chun family is in South America, and the Wang family is in Yu country. Currently, all 4 great families want to use their present strongholds to expand their power, aiming to use their family's strength to become the overlords of the world. The person currently in power in the Li family is my great-grandfather. He's in danger, which is why he sent me to find mutated plants to help him break through the Tier 5 limit and unlock his Tier 6 genes. Li Chun told Lin Shi almost everything, exposing all the inside information of the 4 great hidden families. He acted as if he wasn't even a member of a hidden family himself. Lin Shi, who had originally intended to kill Li Chun, suddenly found he had stumbled upon a very interesting person. Aren't you from the Li family? Why are you telling me all this? Lin Shi's voice was full of suspicion, feeling a piercing cold in his knees and calves. Li Chun gripped his clothes tightly, his eyes turning red. I am indeed from a hidden family, but my great-grandfather is dictatorial and conservative. He's been the head of the Li family for over 200 years. In the Li family, we direct descendants get nothing. We're just treated as his tools. I can't stand living like this anymore. Li Chun cursed Li Hongli out, then looked at Lin Shi with fervent eyes. Boss, please let me serve you. I can do anything. Li Chun raised his head, looking straight at Lin Shi's face. The more he looked, the more he felt. Being stared at by Li Chun with that kind of look, even though Lin Shi didn't feel cold, he couldn't help but shudder. Lin Shi warned, "Look at me like that again, and I'll kill you." Li Chun quickly averted his gaze, bowing his head awkwardly. I'm sorry. Li Chun suddenly found Lin Shi's face familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen it before. Right now, he just wanted to keep his life. Only by surviving would he have a future. If he died, there would be nothing left. So what if he had to throw away a little dignity? Li Chun had always been someone who would use any means necessary. Seeing Li Chun stay silent, Lin Shi spoke up. You'll do anything? He needed someone with a vicious heart, yet useless. Even though Li Chun appeared harmless, Lin Shi hadn't forgotten their first encounter. Li Chun had run away. Someone that cautious couldn't possibly submit to his authority right upon meeting. Yielding was just to save his life, or he harbored unpredictable intentions. Li Chun nodded, feigning loyalty. Lin Shi chuckled softly and said without hesitation, You know meditation, right? I want to know your Li family's meditation method. He had obtained a meditation method from Qi Yi, but he still hadn't grasped the core of it. As for Li Chun, having unlocked Tier 4 genes at such a young age, his understanding of meditation was even deeper than those elders of the Qi family. Hearing this, Li Chun looked surprised. Meditation. The meditation method was a closely guarded secret of every hidden family. After thousands of years of optimization by the four great hidden families, their meditation methods were all different. When he was young, Li Chun was guided by Li Hongli in practicing meditation. Li Hongli had strictly warned him never to pass it on to outsiders. Otherwise, he would be purged by the family. This didn't just apply to Li Chun. Anyone in the Li family who knew the meditation method faced the same rule. If origin power was the water in a barrel, then spiritual power was the wooden staves of that barrel. It determined how much water the barrel could hold. Currently, Li Chun was the one with the highest talent for meditation in the entire Li family. Li Hongli had said many times that Li Chun's future would far surpass his own. It was just that Li Chun didn't want to wait that long. Li Chun also didn't expect that Lin Shi hadn't learned meditation and wanted him to teach it. In Li Chun's mind, Lin Shi was younger than him. If he didn't know meditation, how could he be so powerful at this age? Perhaps the boss just wanted to know the Li family's meditation method for reference. After a brief thought, Li Chun made his decision. No problem, boss. Compared to his life, revealing the family's forbidden meditation method was nothing. Besides, the guy probably didn't even want to learn it. Who knows, the boss might even point out the flaws in his practice. Thinking this, Li Chun asked Lin Shi for permission to stand up, then began reciting the meditation method to him. Being stared at by Lin Shi, Li Chun was terrified his secrets would be discovered, so he explained it in excruciating detail, even sharing his own new insights on meditation. Lin Shi nodded, his expression deep and unreadable. The meditation method he got from Li Chun was far more detailed than what he had learned from Qi Yi or the Qi family elders. After all, Qi Yi hadn't actually learned meditation, so the method he told Lin Shi was just the most basic, simplest version obtained from the Qi family. As for the Qi family elders, they were being hunted down by Lin Shi at the time and had absolutely no intention of teaching him. After listening, Lin Shi was very satisfied. Sit. Demonstrate it once. Li Chun immediately replied, Yes, boss. He closed his eyes and began the demonstration. Lin Shi's face remained impassive as he used his spiritual power to meticulously observe how Li Chun entered the meditative state. Once the demonstration was over, Li Chun opened his eyes, looking at Lin Shi with bright, expectant eyes. Li Chun didn't even know what he was hoping for. Maybe he was waiting for praise, a feeling he hadn't had in a long time. Demonstrate it again, Lin Shi said. Li Chun demonstrated it again. And then again. Demonstrated again. More than half a day later, after Li Chun had demonstrated it 10 times in a row, Lin Shi finally said, That's enough for today. Li Chun's face was blank, going from doubting his life choices to wild joy. Damn it, it's finally over. At first, he thought he only needed to demonstrate it once. He didn't expect to have to do it so many times. During the process, Li Chun also felt something was off, suspecting that Lin Shi wanted to steal the Li family's secret meditation technique. But since he had already demonstrated it once, hiding it now was pointless. Li Chun only cared about his own life. But then Li Chun suddenly realized, That's enough for today? Did that mean he had to demonstrate it again tomorrow? Lin Shi ignored Li Chun's expression and glanced at the sky. It was getting dark. In his mind, he had memorized every single detail of Li Chun's meditation process. The days in the extreme cold regions were very short. It was time to get something to eat, then find a place to see if he could enter the meditative state. If not, he would just force this tool of a man to demonstrate again tomorrow. According to Li Chun, when these people were young, they were guided into the basics by the elders of their clan using their own spiritual power, not by watching someone demonstrate. The difference between these two methods was like self-study versus having a private tutor. The learning speed was naturally completely different. Moreover, most people couldn't enter the meditative state even with guidance, meaning they had no talent for spiritual power. Boss, it's getting dark. Uncle Zhang can't handle the cold. Let me take him back, Li Chun said, looking at Lin Shi with an innocent expression. Lin Shi glanced at Zhang Fugui, who was still standing nearby, shivering and stomping his feet. He turned back to Li Chun and said, You two go back to where you rested yesterday. Wait for me here tomorrow morning. Li Chun's face stiffened. Zhang Fugui looked at Li Chun anxiously. After speaking, Lin Shi turned and left with the Demon King, not giving Li Chun a chance to say anything more. He still had to go collect the bodies of those Tier 3 evolvers. After all, it was still some origin power. Storing the bodies in his space, Lin Shi returned to his resting spot from yesterday, had a quick meal with the Demon King, and then let out the Clouded Leopard and Xiaobai. You guys will have to work hard guarding tonight. Demon King, if you see those two trying to run, just let me know tomorrow morning. No need to bother with them. Keep quiet, and don't disturb me. Meditation was most sensitive to interruptions, especially deep meditation, which could easily drain spiritual power. Leaving the Demon King to guard the cave entrance, Lin Shi went deep into the cave and sat cross-legged. He recalled every little detail Li Chun had mentioned and tried to enter meditation. Xiao Chun, aren't we going to run? Zhang Fugui asked anxiously as he and Li Chun returned to the pit on the mountain slope where they rested yesterday. That guy looks fierce, and his eyes, they're scarier than blades. If we stay, will we be killed? Anyway, he's already gone, and it's pitch black outside. Let's just run. Li Chun lay on the mattress in the room, staring at the ceiling, lost in thought. After a long time, he finally replied, "We're not running." Li Chun's face was incredibly calm. Run where? They simply couldn't escape. Li Chun calmly reviewed the entire incident in Ji province and realized they must have been monitored by spiritual power for a long time. Otherwise, how could it be such a coincidence that the moment they came down the mountain, the enemy immediately chased them down? Li Chun still couldn't guess when they started being followed. They had just dug up the mutated ginseng on the mountain last night, and this morning, as they were preparing to leave, the enemy appeared. This proved the enemy was also targeting that mutated ginseng. Right at this very moment, they were definitely still being watched. Li Chun wouldn't tell Zhang Fugui any of this, nor could he even show it on his face. Only by making the enemy think he was completely harmless could he possibly escape. Thinking about how he was about to reach Tier 5, only to be thwarted by someone, Li Chun couldn't help but clench his fists, his nails digging deep into his palms. But his expression remained very calm. He slowly closed his eyes, as if accepting his fate. Only he knew that right now, the unwillingness and madness in his eyes were about to overflow. Just a little bit more. He was just a little bit short. Seeing that he couldn't persuade Li Chun, Zhang Fugui sighed and lay down as well, secretly worrying about the days to come. That entire night, both Li Chun and Zhang Fugui tossed and turned, unable to sleep well. At dawn, Lin Shi, who had been sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed all night, suddenly opened his eyes. In the darkness, a faint golden glint seemed to flash in the depths of his eyes. The Demon King, the Clouded Leopard, and Xiaobai, who were guarding the cave entrance, seemed to sense something and all turned to look deep into the cave at Lin Shi. Lin Shi stood up, stretched his slightly stiff joints, and walked to the cave entrance. Seeing the three beasts staring at him, Lin Shi asked, "What's wrong?" The Clouded Leopard and Xiaobai didn't know how to express it. The Demon King rode on the snow-covered ground. Master feels different somehow. Lin Shi smirked and patted the Demon King. "I've learned meditation. From now on, my evolution speed will be faster. You guys need to work hard to keep up with me." Although he wasn't proficient yet, taking more than half the night to enter the meditative state and occasionally being interrupted, he had indeed succeeded. Lin Shi didn't think he had any special talent. If he couldn't learn it after watching Li Chun practice it multiple times and explain it in detail, then he truly had no affinity for meditation. Gaining 16 points of spiritual power in one night, Lin Shi believed that once he mastered this ability, he would gain even more spiritual power every day. If Li Chun knew that Lin Shi had learned meditation in just one night, his jaw would surely drop in shock. Even Li Chun, the greatest genius in 3 generations of the Li family, took 3 days to grasp the basics under Li Hongli's guidance. The Demon King smiled, baring its teeth and panting happily for Lin Shi. It quickly rode on the snow-covered ground. "Master, can I learn meditation?" Lin Shi stared wide-eyed. He didn't know if origin beasts could learn meditation. The Demon King wasn't an origin beast with a talent for spiritual power, nor was its spiritual power high. However, Lin Shi still agreed. "Once I've mastered meditation, I'll see if I can teach you." He planned to ask Li Chun if any origin beast in the history of the hidden families had ever learned meditation. Seeing that Li Chun hadn't fled last night, Lin Shi was very satisfied. Li Chun was indeed very tactful. After having breakfast with the Demon King, Lin Shi went down the mountain. Li Chun and Zhang Fugui were already standing at yesterday's spot, waiting for him. Seeing Lin Shi approach, Li Chun took the initiative to step forward, flashing a bright smile. "Boss, you're here. Have you eaten yet? I still have some food. Would you like some?" "No need." The clouded leopard and Xiaobai had already been stored in Lin Shi's space. Now, only the Demon King was by his side. "Today, let's discuss meditation a bit more. Whatever the boss wants to know, I will definitely tell you everything." Li Chun smiled, so widely his eyes turned into slits. Li Chun, like a machine, smiled until his eyes were slits. Lin Shi first asked Li Chun a few questions he encountered during his meditation practice yesterday. Li Chun indeed answered in great detail. He answered every one of Lin Shi's questions without hiding anything. He even revealed the method for absorbing origin power to Lin Shi. Lin Shi asked a few more things. Li Chun's unimaginable cooperation rendered all the interrogation plans Lin Shi had prepared completely useless. Li Chun said that the methods for meditation and absorbing origin power originated from human ancestors during the previous Ice Age. After the tribe collapsed, the people of the tribe took these methods to various places to live. Through the long river of time, the Chun, Li, Du, and Wang families gradually grew powerful. Subsequently, the original methods for absorbing origin power and meditation were improved and optimized over many generations. They evolved into their current forms. The four great hidden families all had their own differences, but there were still similarities. Lin Shi remembered the health cultivation mantra he had obtained from that fat Taoist. Perhaps that Taoist ancestor was also a member of that ancient tribe. But the fat Taoist ancestors didn't develop into a powerful force. Instead, they retreated to live in seclusion. "What do you know about origin beasts?" Lin Shi continued to ask. The Demon King beside him immediately perked up its ears. "Origin beasts?" Li Chun glanced at the Demon King, undisguised envy on his face. "Actually, I don't know much either. The number of origin beast species I've encountered is probably less than the number the boss has killed." Lin Shi looked at Li Chun. Li Chun kept his smiling face and said, "According to the records in our family's texts, origin beasts are products of both the previous and current ice ages. They are born from origin power and die when origin power dissipates. For example, the saber-toothed tigers, woolly mammoths, terror birds, and pterosaurs that appeared in the previous ice age were all born driven by origin power. The boss has surely guessed this already." Lin Shi nodded, signaling Li Chun to continue. 10,000 years ago, origin beasts went extinct in modern society. In this ice age, some species that have been extinct for over 10,000 years have reappeared. Currently, their numbers are small, but in just a few years, familiar animals will mutate into bizarre monsters. We studied the materials from the previous ice age in our family, made many comparisons, and realized that the evolution speed of creatures after this ice age hit is at least 10 times faster than before. We also discovered some origin beast species that have never been recorded in ancient texts, completely unknown to us. Their sizes are also much larger than those in the previous ice age. At this point, Li Chun paused, seemingly hesitating about something. This subtle expression naturally didn't escape Lin Shi's eyes. "What do you want to say?" Li Chun took a deep breath and said, "I have a hypothesis regarding the ice age. I wonder if the boss would like to hear it." Lin Shi frowned. Before this, Li Chun had been answering in exhaustive detail, almost revealing all the secrets of the Li family without hesitation. Now, he was hesitating whether to show his hand. Lin Shi asked casually, "You have conditions?" Li Chun licked his lips and smiled. "I have a small request. If the boss agrees, I will provide you with a crucial piece of information. It's a hypothesis on how to end this great freeze. It might be the guess closest to the truth." A ripple finally appeared in Lin Shi's cold eyes. Staring at Li Chun with calm eyes, Li Chun kept the smile on his face, but that smile grew increasingly strained. Since the apocalyptic ice age began, Lin Shi had killed countless living beings. No matter how calm his gaze was, it still made anyone facing him shiver uncontrollably, as if they were facing a prehistoric monster. Just as Li Chun was about to break, he heard Lin Shi say softly, "Speak." Over half an hour later, Lin Shi was still standing in the same spot, with only the Demon King by his side, watching Li Chun and Zhang Fugui ride their beasts and quickly disappear. Out of sight, Li Chun had traded a piece of information for his life, a piece of information incredibly important to Lin Shi. As for Zhang Fugui, Lin Shi let him go too. He needed someone to find mutated plants, not dig for herbs. Keeping him was useless, so he considered it a buy-one-get-one-free deal. Li Chun and Zhang Fugui had vanished into the blizzard, but Lin Shi's gaze remained fixed on the distance. Li Chun had told him that ever since the tribes split 10,000 years ago, the four great hidden families had developed independently. Over the past few thousand years, they had only collaborated once, using their combined power to seek the truth about the Ice Age. First, one had to talk about the ice ages that the Cerulean planet had experienced. The Cerulean planet had gone through 3 major ice ages. Chronologically, they were the major ice age around 700 to 900 million years ago, the Cryogenian period. During this ice age, most organisms on the Cerulean planet were. This ice age led to an evolutionary explosion of life on the Cerulean planet, marking the dawn of the animal kingdom. The major ice age 2 billion years ago, the Carboniferous Permian glaciation. After this ice age, dinosaurs appeared and dominated the Cerulean planet until their extinction 65 million years ago. The most recent major ice age was the Quaternary glaciation, starting 2 million years ago and ending about 10,000 years ago. Along with the end of the ice age, many beast species Lin Shi had heard of also vanished. Through meticulous study of the 3 major ice ages, the hidden families had deduced a terrifying truth. The key to ending an ice age was the victory or defeat between 2 different species. Therefore, before and after every major ice age, there was either a biological explosion or a mass extinction, because the losing side would be wiped out, while the winning side would evolve rapidly, becoming the new overlords of the Cerulean planet. This time, it was a battle for survival between humans and origin beasts. The only way to win was to exterminate all origin beasts. This hypothesis was only known to the patriarchs of each generation of the hidden families. Li Chun was trusted and favored by Li Hongli, so he was let in on this secret before the Ice Age hit. If they failed, an entire era would end and gradually fade away, leaving only a feeble remnant struggling to survive in the food chain. This information shook Lin Shi to his core. Lin Shi didn't completely trust Li Chun, but a voice deep inside him told him that this might be the truth. If it was true, then compared to the rampant emergence of origin beasts, humanity's strength was far too weak. So how could humanity possibly win this war? After Li Chun finished speaking, Lin Shi let him go as promised. Lin Shi knew that this Li Chun, once he matured, would not remain a nobody forever. This young man hid his true self to a terrifying degree. However, Li Chun was also very smart. He knew who to provoke and who not to. As long as Lin Shi remained stronger than Li Chun, he wouldn't dare harbor any ill intentions toward him. Lin Shi dug a pit in the snow-covered ground and took out his safe house. He needed to look deeper into the 3 previous ice ages. Before the apocalypse, Lin Shi had downloaded a massive amount of data and collected quite a few books. Among them, there were definitely materials related to the ice ages. For the entire day, Lin Shi didn't leave the safe house. It wasn't until the next morning that Lin Shi rubbed his slightly throbbing temples and looked away from the pile of books. His spiritual power was now so strong that he had a photographic memory, able to read an entire page in the blink of an eye. Therefore, in just one day and one night, Lin Shi had almost gone through all the materials he had. He also gained a basic understanding of the 3 major ice ages. The first major ice age was too long ago, so many documents were merely speculative. He skipped that for now. The second major ice age also didn't involve humans, but before it ended, the entire Cerulean planet was occupied by giant reptiles, the dinosaurs. Before the dinosaurs, there were many giant insects on the Cerulean planet. That period was even called the Age of Giant Insects. Until the dinosaurs rose, the giant insects gradually disappeared. Since childhood, Lin Shi had wondered why dinosaurs and insects during the Carboniferous period were so massive. Perhaps it was related to the mutation of origin matter. Dinosaurs lived on the Cerulean planet much longer than humans have, until 65 million years ago, when they mysteriously went extinct. To this day, scientists still don't have a completely certain answer for the cause of the dinosaurs' extinction. This point caught Lin Sher's attention. He focused on the Quaternary glaciation, the ice age closest to modern times. The materials on this period were also the most abundant. The Quaternary glaciation was the only ice age confirmed to involve humans, and countless scientists hypothesized that this ice age hadn't even ended yet. If every ice age was a struggle between species, the Quaternary glaciation was undoubtedly humanity's victory. Many giant beasts went extinct over 10,000 years ago, and humans became the overlords of the world, standing at the top of the food chain. Thanks to science, technology, and weapons, no beast could stand against humanity. Until today, when humanity lost its science, technology, and weapons, forced to compete with wild beasts on the same level. Could it be that in the previous ice age, the struggle between man and beast was never truly settled? Why must there be a winner and a loser? Lin Sher's thoughts raced. The deeper he thought, the more he shuddered. There was one point. All animals, even plants, had mutated, but marine life remained unchanged. Humanity still had a chance to defeat the beasts. But if the beasts combined with marine life, humanity would be left waiting for death. Even if humans evolved to the point where they could live at the bottom of the sea without breathing, they couldn't possibly dive tens of thousands of miles deep to exterminate every single creature down there. So, is this maintaining fair competition? Is there an invisible force manipulating things behind the scenes? System detects the host has discovered the truth of the world. Issuing unique mission, War of Survival. Lead humanity to survive. Exterminate all origin beasts. Remaining origin beasts. War of Survival. Exterminate all origin beasts. Remaining origin beasts. War of Survival. Kill all origin beasts. Current world remaining origin beasts. It had been a long time since the treasure bowl showed a new notification. Suddenly, a line of text appeared as if someone were typing on a keyboard. The text kept changing. Lin Sher's entire body jolted. Over 10 minutes later, Lin Sher frowned and stepped out of the safe house. The Demon King slowly approached Lin Sher, gently raising its front paw to touch his brow, as if wanting to smooth out his wrinkles. "I'm fine." Lin Sher's eyes softened, and he gently patted the Demon King's face twice. Li Chun's parting words echoed in his mind. "I can see that you and your pet have a very deep bond, boss. But if one day, only one of you can survive, will you still teach it meditation?" Lin Sher snapped back to reality, looking at the Demon King, who had a "master is petting me, I'm so happy" expression. He said in a low voice, "Demon King, if one day, only one of us can live, what would you do?" By now, Lin Sher no longer saw the Demon King as just a dog, but as a friend he could communicate with as an equal. A Tier 6 Demon King had a learning capacity far exceeding that of an ordinary human. It was incredibly intelligent. The Demon King had heard everything Li Chun said clearly. The Demon King tilted its head, its large eyes staring intently at Lin Sher. Its gaze was clear, yet incredibly complex. It wrote in the snow, "Master, if that day comes, I hope you can carve my bones into the shape of a little dog and keep it with you forever, so I can continue to serve you." A cold wind blew. Lin Sher narrowed his eyes, feeling a sting. He silently cursed the north wind for making him emotional. He smiled brightly and gave the Demon King a firm pat. "Silly dog, I was just joking with you. I don't need to carve your bones. I'll find a way to keep you fighting by my side, okay?" The Demon King leaned against Lin Sher's leg, gently resting its head on his foot, seemingly showing support, or perhaps silently saying, "It's okay. As long as Master survives, whatever happens to me is fine." Lin Sher closed his eyes. If things just dragged on like this, making it so humans and origin beasts didn't have to fight to the death, could they evolve to the peak and live forever on this frozen planet? Could there really be such a massive loophole? The treasure bowl's notification shattered Lin Sher's fantasy. The hidden family's hypothesis wasn't wrong. This was a war of survival between humans and origin beasts. Only one side could live. Was the major ice age won by the dinosaurs? If the dinosaurs really won, why did they go extinct? The duration of that ice age was incredibly long. Perhaps the dinosaurs had also thought of a way to stall for time. The dinosaurs' extinction felt as if they were erased by someone. If origin beasts and humans didn't fight to the death, Would their fate be any better than the dinosaurs? If humanity won, what would happen to the Demon King and the Origin Beast Legion he had trained? Lin Shi was human. He didn't want to die. But he also didn't want the Demon King and the other beasts to die. There had to be a win-win solution, right? There must be. Lin Shi pressed his lips tightly together, his gaze turning south. He prepared to make a trip back to Sha City. Before returning to Sha City, Lin Shi wanted to clean out the Changbai Mountains. He released the long-armed ape, Kika the rabbit, and Gigi, using his spiritual power to help them dig up mutated plants and hunt origin beasts. Lin Shi had no intention of taming them. He just slaughtered them all and stored them in his space. Meanwhile, in Sha City, Lin Tianrui furrowed his brows tightly. His usually imposing but calm eyes were now filled with blazing fury. Did they really say that? Yes, leader. They said if you want the icebreaker and the soldiers on board back, you have to make the trip yourself. A few days ago, a soldier who had been guarding the icebreaker rushed back, bringing news that the ship had been hijacked. The loss of the icebreaker sent shockwaves through the entire base. Ever since the people sent by Dongying country were scared off by Lin Shi, no one had dared to cause trouble in Sha City. This time, Yu country made a move. Yu country was located to the southeast of Xia country. Since the apocalypse, many surrounding small countries had formed an alliance. Calling them countries wasn't exactly accurate. Most of their populations were dead. Nations were no longer nations, and homes were no longer homes. Only a small number of people gathered together, forming a base larger than Sha City, the sovereign base, the kingdom of sovereigns. The name, sovereign, clearly showed the ambition of its leader. According to the soldier who brought the news, while the icebreaker was on its way back, a well-trained group of high-tier evolvers leaped onto the ship from the ice. Several of the enemy's Tier 3 evolvers slaughtered the soldiers on the deck. The others dropped ropes so their comrades could quickly board. The icebreaker was a vital national asset and had long been coveted by others. Lin Tianrui had stationed 3 Tier 3 evolvers and several hundred Tier 2 evolvers on the ship. But the enemy had 10 Tier 3 evolvers and 1 Tier 4 evolver. The opponent came fully prepared. 2 of Lin Tianrui's Tier 3 evolvers were quickly killed, and the other soldiers were either killed or captured. In the end, the soldiers in the captain's cabin risked their lives to destroy the ship's control station. Currently, the icebreaker was stranded at sea, over 5,000 kilometers away from Sha City. A number of soldiers and evolvers were captured by the sovereign base. They demanded that Lin Tianrui bring engineers to repair the ship before they would release the hostages. Over the past few days, Lin Tianrui had tried every possible way to negotiate, but the enemy refused to release the prisoners and insisted he go to their designated location to negotiate. It was clearly a trap. Those bastards. Leader, you can't go. Exactly. They've definitely set an ambush. They have no intention of returning the icebreaker. I say we fight and show them Xia country isn't to be bullied. Humanity should be united right now. But the enemy is strong and we are weak. If we fight, victory isn't guaranteed. Fight. The base is just starting to develop. If we suffer heavy losses, we'll be targeted by other countries. The base will be in grave danger. We have to be responsible for the hundreds of thousands of survivors here. Leader, I also object. If something happens to you, the base will fall into chaos. Let's think of another way. Not targeted yet. They're already riding on our heads. If we don't fight, this time they dare to hijack our icebreaker. Next time they'll dare to attack the base directly. In the meeting room, everyone argued fiercely. Many officers were practically spitting in each other's faces, looking ready to jump up and slam the table. Only a few had grave expressions, keeping their heads down to devise a strategy. Lin Tianrui slammed the table hard. With the strength of a Tier 3 evolver, the alloy table instantly caved in, leaving a hand-shaped dent. The loudly arguing crowd instantly fell silent. This time I must go, not just for the icebreaker, but for our comrades in arms. If I don't go, they'll think I'm afraid of them. It will also dishearten our soldiers. Since they want me to go, I will decide the location for the negotiation. Tell the envoy of that kingdom. 3 days from now, at noon, we meet at Pingyang Island. If they're late, we won't wait. It was a small island located in the eastern waters of Sha City, over 2,000 kilometers away and over 3,000 kilometers from that kingdom. Ever since the shelter developed into a base, Lin Tianrui held supreme, unshakable power. Lin Honglong and Xia Guohuang only occasionally offered advice to Lin Tianrui. They no longer interfered with the base's development, leaving everything entirely in his hands. They understood that to maintain the base's stability, there could only be one voice. And Lin Tianrui had proven his capability, managing the base in an orderly manner. Clearly, once Lin Tianrui made his decision, the dissenting voices instantly vanished. Wang Chao said, "I'll go inform their envoy. The rest of you, go arrange the personnel for the meeting." "I'm on it." There was no need for Lin Tianrui to give orders. After more than a year of tempering, everyone knew what they had to do. The people in the meeting room filed out one by one, leaving only Lin Tianrui, Lin Honglong, and Xia Guohuang. "Tianrui, are you confident about this negotiation?" Lin Tianrui looked at the meeting room door, a sharp glint flashing in his eyes. "They've played around enough. I have no intention of negotiating nicely. Qin Shuang broke through to Tier 4 half a month ago. I've kept this news strictly confidential. For this negotiation, I'm assigning Wang Chao to capture them, and then we'll invite them to our base to negotiate again." Hearing that Qin Shuang had reached Tier 4, Lin Honglong was thrilled. "Such important news, and you hid it even from us. You brat, your wings have grown hard. No wonder you dared to accept." A Tier 4 evolver was stronger than 10 Tier 3s, and they had too. Wang Chao had broken through to Tier 4 over a month ago during the Science Research Institute's Super Soldier project. If the enemy only had one Tier 4, this operation was guaranteed to succeed. But we still need to be careful. If they dare to negotiate, they definitely came prepared. We should increase our manpower just in case. The three discussed the details in the meeting room. Meanwhile, the envoy sent by that kingdom's base was sitting in a private courtyard, eating meat and drinking iced tea. Looking at the soldiers guarding him closely, the envoy looked annoyed. He slammed his teacup onto the table with a loud bang. "Is this how you treat guests? The meat isn't fully cooked, the tea is cold, and you won't even let me out the door. When I get back, I'll have His Majesty kill you all." The leader of that kingdom's base had crowned himself king. Everyone in their base had to address him as Your Majesty. There were 2 soldiers in the room sent by Lin Tianrui to monitor the envoy. At first, the 2 ignored his arrogant remarks until they heard him say he would kill their comrades. One soldier gritted his teeth, his face flushed with anger, wanting to rush forward and kill the man, but he was held back by the other. Seeing this, the envoy sneered. "Oh, want to hit me? I dare you to touch me. Originally, I was just going to kill a few prisoners for fun, but now I've changed my mind. When I get back, I'll kill 20 of them. Let's see how long they last." Wang Chao, who had excellent hearing, heard the envoy's voice from outside the courtyard. His eyes turned bloodshot, fury practically spewing from them. The soldiers guarding the gate saw Wang Chao and hurriedly saluted. Wang Chao stormed into the house with a ferocious aura. The envoy maintained his disdainful look, merely glancing at Wang Chao and scoffing coldly. Before leaving, Wang Fengshan had been instructed by His Majesty not to give Sha City any face. Since they held the icebreaker and hostages, and knowing the leader of Sha City valued his subordinates highly, the enemy wouldn't dare touch him. Wang Fengshuan's attitude made the murderous aura around Wang Chao almost uncontrollable. Bang! A powerful punch flew past Wang Fengshuan's face. Wang Chao smashed his fist straight into the meat dish on the table in front of him. With a loud crash, the food on the plate turned into mush, the table shattered, and everything crashed to the floor. "If you don't want to eat, fine. We're not forcing you. You can just eat the dry rations you brought with you, emissary." Wang Chao retracted his fist and spoke to Wang Fengshan, whose face had turned pale. Wang Fengshan thought the punch was aimed at his face, leaving him terrified for a few seconds. Then, his fear quickly turned into anger, and he slammed his chopsticks onto the ground. "Insolent! I am an emissary sent to promote friendship between our 2 factions. How dare you treat me like this? I will report this to the king." Wang Fengshan spat out a fluent string of Chinese. Wang Chao sneered. "You definitely need to report back. Tell your superiors that our leader agrees to negotiate. 3 days from now, at noon, we meet at Pingyang Island. We won't wait if you're late." Wang Fengshan angrily retorted. "What the hell is Pingyang Island?" We decide the location. If you want your people to live, you have to listen to us. Of course, it also depends on my mood. Otherwise, I'll go back and have all your people killed. A mere messenger dog, and you dare to be so arrogant? You're just a Tier 3 evolver. Wang Chao finally lost his patience and punched Wang Fengshun square in the face. With a miserable shriek, Wang Fengshun crashed to the ground. His perfectly straight nose was broken by Wang Chao's punch. Wang Chao had intentionally held back. Otherwise, a Tier 3 evolver like Wang Fengshun would have been killed instantly by a Tier 4 like him. Wang Fengshun struggled to get up, clutching his bleeding nose and pointing at Wang Chao, cursing, "Damn you! How dare you hit me? Just you wait. I'll report this to the king and lead an army to level this place." Wang Chao stepped right up to the cursing Wang Fengshun, looking down at him. "Even if I kill you, your leader won't abandon the icebreaker plan just for a messenger. If you keep cursing, I don't mind killing you right now. Do you really think emissaries can't be killed during a war? You're just a pawn sent to test the waters and act as a meat shield." Lin Tianrui, Wang Chao, and the others all understood this perfectly. Their attitude would determine this emissary's fate. "You." Wang Fengshun immediately shut his mouth, genuinely terrified that Wang Chao might actually kill him. Wang Chao looked at him with disdain. "Now take your people and get the hell back to deliver the message." Wang Fengshun scrambled up, glaring at Wang Chao with resentment before running off. Not long after, Lin Tianrui received the news that Wang Chao had beaten the emissary. Wang Chao did the right thing. Since we're preparing to negotiate, we can't show weakness. We have to let them know we won't be easily bullied. That same afternoon, Lin Tianrui prepared all the necessary personnel and weapons for the negotiation. The next morning, a group riding origin beasts left the inner city. There were still 2 days until the negotiation, and they would arrive on time. At the king base, Wang Fengshun rode the base's special breed, the tailwind ostrich, and made it back in just a day and a night. He embellished the story, adding fuel to the fire as he recounted Wang Chao's words to the figure sitting on the frozen throne. "Pingyang Island? So we still have 2 days." The majestic voice of the man on the throne echoed. The tone was similar to Lin Tianrui's, but devoid of emotion and much colder. "My king, the ship and the hostages are in our hands. We don't need to listen to them. If we want 3 days, it's 3 days. If we want a specific location, we choose it. There's no need to negotiate at all. They clearly don't respect you, my king. How about I go teach them a lesson and show them we aren't to be messed with? Let's kill a few hostages and send them over to crush their spirit." Remembering the humiliation he suffered from Wang Chao, Wang Fengshun gritted his teeth, wanting to make Wang Chao pay for offending him. But he forgot that the man on the throne hated it most when others interfered with his decisions. He was just a Tier 3 evolver. True, the Wang family didn't lack Tier 3 evolvers right now, and Wang Tianyuan, sitting on the throne, was on the verge of breaking through to Tier 5 or even Tier 6. "Are you teaching me how to do things?" A powerful surge of origin power pressed down from above onto Wang Fengshun. An invisible, overwhelming force struck his chest. Wang Fengshun was sent flying, coughing up fresh blood, before quickly scrambling to his knees. He didn't even have time to wipe the blood from his mouth as he cried out in terror. "Spare me, my king. Your subordinate was wrong." Wang Fengshun begged continuously but was still dragged away. The others in the hall didn't dare utter a word. After Wang Fengshun disappeared, someone spoke up. "My king, for Lin Tianrui to agree to negotiate so quickly, he must be very confident in his strength." "Confident? I hope he can maintain that confidence when he sees my power. They're just frogs at the bottom of a well, yet they dream of shaking a giant tree." Wang Tianyuan sneered. He knew the official base's strength well. For the officials to rapidly cultivate Tier 4 evolvers in such a short time was indeed impressive. But the Wang family, one of the 4 great hidden families, had been 1,000 years ahead of the officials. If the officials were given a few more decades, perhaps they could rival hidden families like theirs. But would Wang Tianyuan give Lin Tianrui that time? The answer was obviously no. Building the base and hijacking the icebreaker was only the first step. Wang Tianyuan spoke. "Lao San, call Lao Si. I want a few more people to invite this leader Lin over." Wang Tianyuan emphasized the word invite. Hidden families often use strength to rank and address each other. Those Wang Tianyuan called Lao, from 1 to 10, were all Tier 4 revolvers. Last time they hijacked the icebreaker, Wang Tianyuan only sent Wang Lao C, and that was enough to capture the heavily guarded ship. This time, he was sending 3 of them directly. It was clear that despite his dismissive words, Wang Tianyuan was still somewhat wary of the official base. Yes, my king. Your subordinates obey. 3 figures stepped out from below the throne, kneeling to accept the mission. Lin Shi returned to Sha City the day after Lin Tianrui's group left. Through his mental perception, he noticed that Lin Tianrui and Wang Chao were not in the base. After being away for over half a year, the shelter had completely transformed from when he left. Now, it truly looked like a proper base. Not just the Eastern District, but half of Sha City was now within the base's perimeter. The population had swelled to over 200,000. The base was bustling and prosperous, and the number of guards was several times higher than before. Most of them were unfamiliar faces. It seemed that during his half-year absence, many soldiers and survivors from other regions had migrated to Sha City. Riding Demon King, Lin Shi was spotted by the defense forces when he was still a kilometer away from the base. A fully armed squad of soldiers surrounded Lin Shi and Demon King, treating them like a major threat. Halt! Who are you? What is your business at the base? If it were just Lin Shi, the soldiers might not have been this tense. But the Demon King beside him left them absolutely shaken. They were certain that this snow-white origin beast with 1 red eye and 1 blue eye was no ordinary creature. It was very likely a Tier 4 origin beast that could slaughter them with ease. Lin Shi patted Demon King, signaling it not to harm anyone recklessly. I am Lin Shi. Please inform your superiors that I have important matters to discuss with your leader. Lin Shi had been away from Sha City for over half a year, and news about him had long gone cold. Furthermore, he had used aliases like Li Erheo and Li Fu, so very few people knew his real name. Many even assumed he would never return, or that he had died out in the wasteland. Naturally, these new recruits didn't recognize him. Just a few days ago, someone from the king's base had brazenly ridden an origin beast outside their walls. Coupled with Lin Tianrui's strict orders banning strangers from entering before he left, most of the soldiers looked at this unfamiliar face with hostility. Our leader isn't here. If you have business, come back another time, a soldier standing in the back muttered softly. Lin Shi, that name sounds familiar. Lin Shi wasn't angry. He smiled and said, Are Lin Honglong and Xiaoguo Wang here? Tell them Lin Shi has returned and ask them to come see me. Things were different now. If he forced his way in riding Demon King, it would definitely cause panic and chaos throughout the base. But waiting a little while was no problem for him. Seeing Lin Shi's mild attitude, he didn't seem like someone here to cause trouble. After exchanging glances, the captain of the guard squad pulled out his walkie-talkie. Sir, there's a man with an origin beast at the northeast gate demanding to see the leader. A voice that sounded somewhat familiar to Lin Shi came through the radio. Someone wants to see the leader? Didn't you tell him the leader isn't here, and we aren't taking visitors? Who is it? I told him the leader isn't here, but he insists on seeing the commander. It's a young man with a wolf. The radio went silent for a moment. Then the voice suddenly grew agitated. A wolf. A wolf. The guard captain had never heard his superiors sound so frantic. He quickly replied, A white wolf. Very large. It looks like a Tier 4 origin beast. Hearing the captain's description, the voice on the radio instantly calmed down. The guard captain even thought he heard a disappointed click of the tongue. White. Then it's not him. Tell him the base is conducting an important drill right now and we aren't accepting outsiders. Tell him to come back another time. Yes, sir, the guard captain replied. Then, remembering something, he added, Oh, right, sir. The man said his name is Lin Shi. Crash. The sound of the walkie-talkie dropping to the floor echoed before the signal cut off completely. The guard captain stared at his radio, a bit stunned. Recalling his superior's orders not to accept visitors, he figured the commander just didn't want to waste his breath and hung up. Putting the radio away, the guard captain stepped up to Lin Shi and said coldly, Comrade, the base is currently running an important drill. Please turn back. As the captain approached, Lin Shi had clearly heard the faint voice from the radio. He chuckled. I'll wait a bit. The guard captain frowned. He had made it perfectly clear, yet this guy was still being stubborn. It was hard not to assume he was here to cause trouble. The captain's eyes turned sharp. "Comrade, I advise you not to waste your time. Leave now, or don't blame us for getting rough." Lin Shi ignored him. Using his mental perception, he saw a figure rapidly approaching and the corners of his lips curled up. Half a year ago, by pure chance, he had been assigned as a security guard to watch out for spies from the hidden clans. That man was Zhang Qing, who was now a high-ranking officer. It was worth noting that because of his involvement in Liu Chaoyin's rebellion, Zhang Qing had been demoted to the absolute bottom. Now, wearing the uniform of a senior officer, his face looked much more mature and seasoned than half a year ago. He had clearly turned his life around during this time. Zhang Qing sprinted toward Lin Shi at top speed, completely ignoring the salutes and greetings from people along the way. This left everyone bewildered, wondering why their usually calm and composed commander was in such a frantic rush. Currently, Zhang Qing was the deputy commander in charge of security for the entire base, second only to the chief commander, Qin Shuang. Even as the second in command, Zhang Qing was very satisfied with his position. If Lin Shi hadn't discovered his ability and brought him before Lin Tianrui, giving him a chance to redeem himself and even get promoted, Zhang Qing would still be atoning for his past mistakes. If not for Lin Shi, he probably would have ended up like the other offenders, thrown into the suicide squad and torn apart by origin beasts. Because of this, Zhang Qing felt both deep gratitude and absolute terror toward Lin Shi. He had witnessed Lin Shi's ruthless methods firsthand and knew the man was a god of death. Whenever he felt his resolve wavering, Lin Shi's image would flash in his mind. Those icy, murderous eyes were forever burned into his memory, reminding him never to make a mistake. Otherwise, if Lin Shi returned, he would definitely kill him. Zhang Qing ran faster than if he were fleeing for his life, ignoring everyone else. His mind was screaming frantically, "He's back. He's back. That god of death is back." Seeing Zhang Qing running so frantically, the others assumed there was an enemy attack and started running after him, some even calling for backup. The guard captain outside the gates was completely unaware of the chaos inside. Seeing that Lin Shi not only ignored his warning but even smiled, he assumed Lin Shi was mocking them for not daring to attack. His face darkened as he stepped back into formation. "Attention! Stay alert. Prepare for level 2 engagement." The soldiers immediately cocked their weapons and took aim. With a shift in stance, the modified special issue rifles were aimed squarely at Lin Shi. With just one word from the captain, they would turn Lin Shi into a honeycomb. As Zhang Qing arrived, he saw the scene unfolding from a distance. It scared him so badly his soul nearly left his body, and he almost tripped and fell flat on his face. The man standing calmly in the center of the encirclement, a solitary figure. Who else could it be but the god of death, Lin Shi? Lin Shi smiled at him, but his eyes were calm and indifferent, as if nothing in this world was worthy of his attention. Zhang Qing remembered the look on Lin Shi's face when he ordered him to kill his own cousin. It was completely different. Zhang Qing's legs turned to jelly, and he trembled as he roared, "Stand down. All of you, stand down." Hearing Zhang Qing's voice, the guard captain immediately lowered his gun and said sternly, "Commander." Zhang Qing slapped the guard captain hard on the back of the head. The guard captain saw stars. Fortunately, he was wearing a helmet, or his skull might have been cracked open. Before the other soldiers could react, Zhang Qing bowed deeply in front of Lin Shi. He looked at Lin Shi with a flattering expression, wanting to greet him but unsure of how to address him. Using his real name felt inappropriate. Hero Li didn't sound right either. Commander Lin, or Lord Lin, both felt awkward. Luckily, Lin Shi didn't mind Zhang Qing's hesitation. He patted Zhang Qing's shoulder and said, "Take me inside to see your leaders." "Yes, sir." Zhang Qing stood up straight, his expression still a bit shaky, but he breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. He bowed and invited Lin Shi into the base with the utmost respect. The others, who had rushed over thinking there was a major crisis, were all dumbfounded. Given Zhang Qing's rank and status in the base, he wasn't even this respectful when facing Lin Tianrui. He looked like a subservient servant. Who on earth was this 20-something-year-old young man? Rumor had it that Zhang Qing used to serve someone else, but that person was dead. Moreover, Lin Shi was too young and didn't look like someone of high status. Everyone was full of doubts. No one thought Zhang Qing was rebelling. If he wanted to betray the base, he wouldn't openly lead someone into the shelter. Everyone just wanted to know who this person was that commanded such respect from Zhang Qing. They were burning with curiosity. Sun Lang was an officer who had joined the base less than half a year ago. He was a Tier 3 evolver, just one rank below Zhang Qing. The two often drank together, so they had a decent relationship. Sun Lang stepped forward and asked, "Zhang Qing, who is this?" Zhang Qing glanced at Lin Shi's expressionless face and didn't dare speak out of turn, completely ignoring Sun Lang. Feeling humiliated in front of everyone, Sun Lang quickly stepped up, blocking Zhang Qing and Lin Shi with a cold expression. He cast a wary glance at Lin Shi and said, "Zhang Qing, don't you know the leader gave strict orders forbidding outsiders from entering the base?" Zhang Qing frowned. "Move aside. This is an honored guest of the base. I'll take full responsibility for any consequences." With that, he shoved Sun Lang aside. He smiled apologetically at Lin Shi, then remembered something. He grabbed a soldier and said, "Quick, go inform the commanders. Senior Lin Shi has returned." The soldier took the order and sprinted into the base. Zhang Qing then quickened his pace, leading Lin Shi inside. After Zhang Qing left, a soldier who found the name Lin Shi familiar suddenly shouted, "I remember now." Everyone turned their eyes to him. The soldier, both shocked and excited, blurted out, "Lin Shi, isn't that the legendary Li Erheo?" Many people didn't know who Lin Shi was, but most had heard the name Li Erheo. Even though he hadn't been at the base, the tales of his deeds were still widely circulated. The guy who killed a Beast King, and even killed a lieutenant general during the rebellion. Isn't that hero Li, the one who quelled the chaos caused by the hidden clans? My God, I didn't expect him to be so young. But wait, didn't they say he had a giant black and white wolf? The wolf just now was pure white. Are you stupid? They say the higher an origin beast evolves, the more likely it is to experience atavism. Maybe that wolf experienced atavism and turned white. So it's really him. I heard he's the honorary commander of our base. The strongest person in the base, a Tier 5 expert. As the whispers spread, everyone quickly realized who Lin Shi was. They finally understood why a high-ranking officer like Zhang Qing was so respectful to him. Many immediately ran back into the base, eager to report the news of Lin Shi's return to their superiors. Lin Shi's return would undoubtedly have a massive impact on the base's current situation, especially that white wolf behind him. It used to be Tier 5, and now that it had turned white, it must have evolved again. Just the thought that the wolf might be Tier 6, capable of effortlessly slaughtering almost every evolver in the base, was enough to terrify everyone. On the other side, upon receiving the news of Lin Shi's return, Lin Honglong and Xia Guolong hurriedly led people out to welcome him. They understood Lin Shi's importance and danger perfectly well and didn't dare be negligent. Lin Shi soon met the two veteran commanders. "Good to see you, commanders. It's been a while," Lin Shi spoke first. Xia Guolong laughed heartily. "Little friend Lin, how have you been since we last parted?" After some warm pleasantries, Lin Shi got straight to the point. "I came back this time because I have some very important news to discuss with you all. Where are Leader Lin and Wang Chao?" Xia Guolong and Lin Honglong exchanged glances. Over 2,000 kilometers away from Sha City, out on the ocean, Lin Tianrui and his group stood before a field of ice. By this point, the ice had thinned considerably, with many floating ice floes revealing the deep, dark ocean below. The sea surface wasn't completely frozen, yet the temperature wasn't much higher than on the coast. When seawater freezes, its salinity increases, and higher salinity makes it even harder to freeze. Reaching this point, they had to change their method of travel. They planned to use the floating ice floes to cross, or even swim through. Fortunately, they were already quite close to Nyadinli Island. Nyadinli Island was just a small island covering a dozen or so square kilometers. The Tier 3 evolvers immediately stripped off their clothes, packed them in waterproof bags, and jumped into the sea, swimming toward an ice floe. The trained origin beasts immediately followed suit. Not long after, everyone finally made it onto their destination island. Before the apocalypse, this was a deserted island where almost no one ever set foot. It once had lush vegetation, but now it was nothing but a vast expanse of white. Everyone quickly dried themselves off, got dressed, and surveyed the island. An officer stepped forward and said, "Leader, I'll take a few men to scout the island." "All right, be careful," Lin Tianrui instructed. Before the people from the king's base arrived, they needed to thoroughly scout the surrounding terrain. The scouting party returned very quickly. "Leader, there are no signs of human activity on the island. Just a few low-tier origin beasts. I had the brothers kill them and clean up the area. We brought them back for lunch. About a kilometer away, there's a hillside that can block the wind," the officer reported in detail. Lin Tianrui nodded and led everyone to the sheltered spot to set up camp. The people from the king's base probably wouldn't arrive until the afternoon. Set up camp and keep a sharp lookout. The wind was howling. Wang Chao and Qin Shuang stayed close to Lin Tianrui. However, behind Qin Shuang stood someone no one expected, Xie Qingshan. No, to be precise, it was Qi Yun, who had regained his memories. He had come too. After receiving the sap from the divine tree's heart, the toxins in Qi Yun's body were completely neutralized. At the same time, he recovered his memories and followed Qin Shuang back to Sha City. However, his face was ruined, so he had to wear a mask. Aside from Lin Tianrui and his trusted aides who knew Qi Yun's true identity, the others had no idea this was the young master of the annihilated Qi clan. Qi Yun no longer called himself Qi Yun, continuing to use the name Xie Qingshan instead. As he said, since the Qi clan was gone, there was no longer a young master of the Qi clan. The wind on the island was fierce and bone-chilling. After lunch, Wang Chao led a few soldiers to the shore to catch fish, taking the opportunity to stretch their limbs so they wouldn't freeze stiff, while also keeping an eye out for the king's base's arrival. It wasn't until dusk that figures finally appeared on the sea, leisurely approaching. The first to spot the people from the king's base were Wang Chao, Qin Shuang, and Qi Yun. Their eyesight was far better than the others. Seeing Wang Laosan's group, Qi Yun's pupils shrank. He recognized this man. The others here didn't know him, but Qi Yun did. Wang Laosan, a veteran assassin and a Tier 4 powerhouse for many years. Even when Qi Yun was just a child, Wang Laosan was already at Tier 4. Qi Yun softly warned Qin Shuang, "They're from the Wang clan. Be careful." By the time Wang Laosan's group stepped onto the island, Lin Tianrui's side was already prepared for battle. Wang Chao stepped forward and called out, "Are you from the king's base?" Wang Laosan was a middle-aged man with an ordinary face and salt and pepper hair. He didn't look particularly striking, but he exuded a powerful, murderous aura, clearly the result of killing countless people. "Are you Lin Tianrui?" Wang Laosan looked Wang Chao up and down. Seeing that he didn't match the intelligence reports on Lin Tianrui, he sneered dismissively. "Who the hell are you to talk to me? Tell Lin Tianrui to come out." Wang Chao raised an eyebrow, about to retort, when Lin Tianrui patted his shoulder. Wang Chao stopped, and Lin Tianrui said, "I am Lin Tianrui. And you are? So you're Lin Tianrui?" Wang Laosi, standing next to Wang Laosan, disdainfully sized up the target of their mission. Wang Laosi was a burly, bald man. When he smiled, he revealed a missing front tooth, making him look more ferocious than friendly. Tier 3. Discovering Lin Tianrui's tier, Wang Laosi showed even more contempt than Wang Laosan, adding a mocking tone as he turned to the people behind him. "I didn't expect the government base to pick a piece of Tier 3 trash as their leader. Looks like any of us could be a base leader. Huh? Ha ha." Although Wang Laosi was speaking to his own men, his voice wasn't quiet at all. The Wang clan members burst into arrogant, mocking laughter. In short, this situation made it clear that these newcomers were up to no good. No one on Lin Tianrui's side expected their leader to be insulted like this. An officer stepped forward, his tone dripping with disdain. "What the hell are you guys? Just a bunch of bandits banding together, and you dare meddle with our base." "What did you say?" Wang Laosi whipped his head around, his eyes as sharp and cold as a starving wolf's. In a split second, everyone only saw a blur of light as Wang Laosi vanished from his spot. "Watch out," Wang Chao shouted, rushing forward to shield the mocking officer, but he was a step too late. Just as the officer was about to sneer again, Wang Laosi was already upon him, smashing a fist straight into his chest. The sickening crunch of breaking bones echoed alongside the heavy thud of the punch. The officer was sent flying, his chest caved in. The people standing behind him were also blown away by the terrifying force, tumbling into the snow. Old Zhao? Old Zhao! Everyone panicked. Officer Zhao coughed up a massive amount of fresh blood mixed with organ fragments. His injuries were too severe. His life was hanging by a thread. Someone hurriedly fed old Zhao a pill. Unable to stop Wang Laosi in time, Wang Chao furiously threw a punch at Wang Laosi's back. But Wang Laosi was heavily built and as fast as the wind. He scoffed at the vicious punch, spun around, and threw a fist right back at Wang Chao. Die, you piece of trash. Wang Chao blocked the punch, but was forced back 3 steps, his arm trembling violently. Wang Laosi didn't retreat an inch. He stepped forward, sneered, and threw another punch. Stop! Lin Tianrui, protected by Qin Shuang and the others, shouted loudly, filled with anger and anxiety. Is this how you negotiate? Wang Laosi didn't stop, continuing his assault on Wang Chao. Seeing this, the other soldiers drew their weapons and surrounded Wang Laosi. Kill him. Avenge old Zhao. Seeing Wang Laosi surrounded, the other Wang clan members weren't worried at all. Instead, they looked amused. Just you lot. Wang Laosi sneered disdainfully. He had thick skin and tough flesh, and was famous for his external martial arts before the apocalypse, specializing in defense. Even a normal Tier 3 martial artist hitting him would only scratch his skin. Wang Laosi moved swiftly, dodging most of the weapons, only suffering a minor scratch from one. He grinned, ignoring the attacks around him, and exchanged a few more blows with Wang Chao. Seeing Wang Chao being forced back step by step, he mocked, "Your base is full of nothing but trash." Suddenly, a cloud of white powder flew toward Wang Laosi's face. He dodged most of it, but some still got into his eyes, mouth, and nose. What the hell is this? A burning sensation shot straight to his brain. Not only did his mental energy stagnate, but he couldn't even open his eyes. The origin power in his body surged out. This time, Wang Chao stood his ground, twisted his body, and delivered a brutal punch right to Wang Laosi's face. Wang Laosi, who was already missing one tooth, had 2 more knocked out. Wang Chao returned all of Wang Laosi's previous attacks with interest. In the blink of an eye, Wang Laosi was beaten black and blue, completely losing his ability to fight back. The tide of the battle had turned in an instant. Despicable. Seeing this, the Wang clan members opposite them drew their bows and swords, rushing forward to help Wang Laosi. A fierce melee broke out. Just then, a shout rang out like thunder. Stop! Wang Laosi roared. He looked at Lin Tianrui, issuing an undeniable command. Tell them to stop. Lin Tianrui stood behind Qin Shuang, his face cold and unyielding. He replied to Wang Laosi, "Your people attacked first. I was merely defending myself." In just a few moments, Wang Laosi was already covered in injuries. Though not life-threatening, they looked terrifying. Wang Chao showed no mercy, every punch landing true. Is this your attitude toward negotiations? Does Leader Lin not care about the lives of these hundreds of people? Wang Laosi was somewhat wary of the powder that had put Wang Laosi at a disadvantage. A poison that could render a Tier 4 powerhouse defenseless was truly terrifying. Lin Tianrui glanced at the dying old Zhao and sneered. Whatever attitude your base has, I have the same. It's just an eye for an eye. Wang Laosi gritted his teeth. My third brother was reckless. I apologize to Leader Lin. Blows have been exchanged. Let's leave it at that. Fine. Lin Tianrui smiled faintly. If Wang Laosi hadn't been subdued, these Wang clan members wouldn't have bothered talking properly with them. Wang Chao, Lin Tianrui called out. Wang Chao stopped his fists, turned to look at Wang Laosi, hoisted Wang Laosi up, clenched his fist, and punched him in the chest with all his might. Wang Laosi was sent flying, crashing into the group of Wang clan members. Old Fourth. This single punch caved in Wang Laosi's chest, and he spat out a massive mouthful of blood. You! Wang Laosi clenched his fists, his eyes brimming with murderous intent. This outcome was completely beyond their expectations. When had the Wang clan ever suffered such humiliation? The Wang clan members checked Wang Laosi's injuries. Though not as severe as the soldier who was hit earlier, he had completely lost his combat ability. Wang Laowu whispered into Wang Laosan's ear. Third brother, should we retreat? Wang Laowu's voice carried a hint of hesitation. He was naturally cautious. The enemy had a powder that countered evolvers and wasn't showing any weakness. Now, without Wang Laosi, the outcome was unpredictable. Wang Laosan also realized that the king had underestimated the government base's strength. Taking Lin Tianrui away today was impossible. Even if they succeeded, they would suffer heavy losses. Wang Laosan remained silent for a long time, then seriously began negotiating with Lin Tianrui. Initially, the king wanted to capture Lin Tianrui to strike fear into the base and ultimately force them into submission. Now, they could only negotiate and stabilize the situation first. Lin Tianrui breathed a sigh of relief. Although they put up a strong front, once he knew the other party was from the Wang clan, Lin Tianrui just wanted to retreat safely and plan their next move. The internal conflict with the Qi clan had left them with almost no strength to fight back. Now, facing a powerful hidden clan, he didn't want a conflict. The base's research on the evolver-suppressing powder was still incomplete. The remaining powder was only enough for one more use. They couldn't afford a head-on clash. Lin Tianrui proposed letting their people repair the icebreaker, on the condition that the other side release the hostages. As for the icebreaker, they could temporarily lend it to them for a while, with the exact time frame up for negotiation. This was a stalling tactic. The icebreaker consumed a massive amount of resources. With a single base's current resources, just keeping it operational was extremely difficult. The base needed time to develop and research more perfect weapons to deal with high-tier evolvers. As for Wang Laosan, he just wanted to exchange a few perfunctory words with Lin Tianrui and retreat to save some face, and most importantly, to avenge the injured old fourth. The two went back and forth, looking like they were negotiating seriously, but in reality, both had their own hidden agendas. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Look over there. Someone's coming." Both sides immediately tensed up. A few minutes later, the newcomers drew near. Lin Tianrui's expression changed. Second brother, Wang Laosan, who had been maintaining a cold facade, twitched his eyebrows, revealing clear joy. It turned out that after Wang Laosan and his men left, Wang Tianyuan reconsidered. He figured that even a lion uses its full strength to catch a rabbit, so he shouldn't just test the government's strength. Therefore, he sent Wang Lauer with more men to catch up. Now Wang Lauer had arrived. This time, Wang Lauer came with Old Sixth, bringing a total of 5 people. 3 Tier 4 evolvers, plus Old Second and Old Sixth. Even though they had lost Wang Laosi, the opposing side still had 4 Tier 4s. More importantly, the enemy had 1.5 times as many Tier 3 evolvers as Lin Tianrui's side. Lin Tianrui and his people were instantly put at a severe disadvantage. Seeing Wang Laosi lying unconscious on the ground, Wang Lauer's thick eyebrows shot up. Who did this? Although the question was directed at Wang Laosan, his murderous aura was locked straight onto Lin Tianrui's group. Seeing Wang Lauer arrive, Wang Laosan dropped his act with Lin Tianrui and said, "Second brother, they have some kind of powder that can stagnate an evolver's origin power." Old Fourth fell for their trick. "Be careful later." Wang Lauer nodded, his gaze toward Lin Tianrui and his men turning even more ferocious. "Umph. Anyone who dared touch my brothers in the past died without a complete corpse." Lin Tianrui took a deep breath, maintaining a calm expression. "Injuring your people earlier was a misunderstanding. You also injured one of our officers. Let's call it even. If you want to repair the icebreaker, we can cooperate." Wang Lauer sneered. "Comparing those ants to my fourth brother? You're Lin Tianrui, right? Seeing as you're still useful. Today, I'll only chop off your arms. As for the rest, kill them all. Who cares about some icebreaker?" Their goal from the very beginning was never the icebreaker, but the government base itself. The Wang clan members, already furious, charged forward upon hearing this. Qin Shuang hurriedly said, "Is the king's base trying to start a war with the government base?" "Start a war? Once we capture Lin Tianrui and kill all you ants, what will your base use to stop our king from uniting the continent?" Wang Laolu laughed sinisterly, pointing at Qin Shuang. "Leave this bitch to me. Don't waste time. A Tier 4 bitch is dangerous. Help me kill her." Wang Laolu lunged toward Qin Shuang. "No need." Wang Laolu smirked, charging forward alongside Wang Laolu. Wang Chao was locked down by Wang Laosan. Under his ruthless, lethal attacks, Wang Chao was struggling immensely. Qi Yun had originally only come to hold the line. He sneered, fending off Wang Lauer's attacks while calculating an escape route. He had no intention of dying here with the government's people. The other soldiers and evolvers, heavily outnumbered, were constantly losing ground and quickly suffering casualties. Only Lin Tianrui wasn't being attacked, but that was only temporary. The enemy just wanted to keep him alive to torture him to the very end. On this deserted island in the middle of the vast ocean, watching his comrades fall one by one, standing all alone, Lin Tianrui felt despair for the first time. If only that person were here. He recalled that young, unfamiliar face and the razor-sharp aura in his memories. Lin Tianrui turned his head to look at the distant horizon and vaguely saw Lin Shi riding Demon King, rushing toward them at breakneck speed. He blinked, thinking it was just a hallucination, and smiled bitterly. It seemed this time was really the end. It's over. Lin Tianrui clenched his fists, a look of absolute resolve appearing on his face. He would rather die than be taken prisoner. Lin Tianrui gathered his origin power, channeled it into the origin weapon in his hand, and slashed at Wang Lauer. Wang Lauer felt a chill down his spine and quickly dodged. Even a Tier 3 evolver wielding an origin weapon could threaten a Tier 4. Of course, the prerequisite was that the attack actually landed. Since it wasn't an ordinary weapon, it could genuinely break through defenses and injure an evolver. Seeing Lin Tianrui condense origin power into his weapon, Wang Lauer roared, "You have a death wish." With just a few moves, he easily disarmed Lin Tianrui and stomped him into the ground. "A piece of trash like you dares sneak attack me. I was going to save you for last, but since you're so impatient, I'll cripple you right now." Wang Lauer grabbed Lin Tianrui's blade and swung it down toward his right arm. Witnessing this, Qi Yun was torn. Should he take this chance to run, or stay and help Lin Tianrui? Wang Lauer was too strong. He was no match for him. Staying meant dying alongside Lin Tianrui. Even if he saved him temporarily, without reinforcements today, they would still end up dead here. "Sorry," he muttered, watching Wang Lauer swing the blade at Lin Tianrui, preparing to leave. At that exact moment, a white blur suddenly appeared out of thin air. The hand Wang Lauer was using to hold the blade suddenly vanished. No, to be precise, it seemed to have been bitten off by something. Caught completely off guard, Wang Lauer let out a blood-curdling scream. Then, everyone saw that Wang Lauer had lost his right hand. "My hand? Where's my hand?" Not just Wang Lauer. The moment the white blur flashed by, several people nearby simultaneously lost an arm. Some didn't even realize their arm was gone until they looked down. No one understood what was happening. In the blink of an eye, without anyone clearly seeing what passed by, several arms were gone. Only Qi Yun, who had been staring intently at Wang Lauer, vaguely caught a glimpse of something. In that split second, it was as if a white origin beast had flashed past Wang Lauer, and then his hand was gone. From the jagged, mangled wound on his arm, it was clear it had been bitten off by an origin beast. What kind of origin beast was this fast? Even Tier 4 evolvers couldn't see it or react in time. A chill ran down his spine. There was actually such a powerful origin beast on this island. Had it been hiding here all along, or did it come from somewhere else? The other Wang clan members lost all will to attack, hurriedly gathering around Wang Lauer. "Second brother, your arm. What the hell is going on? Is there a high-tier origin beast on this island? My arm is gone too. Is this place haunted? Shut up and bandage the wounds." The Wang clan side fell into chaos. Seeing the eerie atmosphere and spreading fear among the Wang clan, and with Wang Lauer heavily injured, their morale was in shambles. Lin Tianrui had to find a way to escape, so he quickly regrouped with Wang Chao and the others. "Leader, are you okay?" "I'm fine." Wang Chao was covered in blood. Fortunately, the wounds weren't deep. If Wang Lauer hadn't suddenly screamed in pain, Wang Chao would have likely been severely injured by Wang Laosan's insidious sneak attack. Qin Shuang, besieged by Wang Laowu and Wang Laolu, 2 Tier 4 evolvers, was the most heavily injured. Right now, she could barely stand. Most of the others were also injured and looked to be in terrible shape. If not for that white blur, they would have been defeated in moments. Wang Chao told everyone to take this time to rest, apply medicine, and bandage their wounds. Then, he went to Lin Tianrui and exchanged a glance with him. "What just happened?" "I'm not sure either." Lin Tianrui was the closest and highly focused. so he saw and heard more clearly than even Shi Yun. It was a white origin beast, and not a small one. They had searched the island earlier and found absolutely no high-tier origin beasts. Where did this origin beast come from? Why did it suddenly attack? Did it smell the blood on them? Even if it smelled blood, it should have attacked the ones bleeding the most. Why did it only attack the Wang clan members? Lin Tianrui couldn't figure it out either. Wang Laosan finished checking Wang Lauer's wound. His eyes filled with murderous intent as he glared at Lin Tianrui. Is this your doing? Lin Tianrui smiled bitterly in his heart. How could they possibly have such a powerful trick up their sleeves? But on the surface, he maintained an unfathomable expression. You killed my subordinates, and you lost a few arms. Let's call it even. Wang Laosan gritted his teeth, staring at Lin Tianrui like a venomous snake. The others losing an arm was one thing, but Wang Lauer was the strongest among them, highly valued by Wang Tianyuan. Losing an arm was too heavy a price. The king would be absolutely furious when he found out. More importantly, even Wang Lauer couldn't fend off that origin beast. How could the rest of them? Wang Laosan was considering retreating. Wang Laowu stepped up beside him and said, treating second brother's injuries is more important. Should we? Wang Laowu was naturally more afraid of death than anyone else. Just the thought of a high-tier origin beast lurking in the dark, capable of easily snapping their necks, terrified him. Wang Laowu was practically ready to run. Wang Laosan glanced at the Wang clan members. Most of them couldn't hide the fear on their faces. His eyes were filled with reluctance. He gritted his teeth, thought for a long time, and prepared to order a retreat. Consider yourselves lucky today. Suddenly, Wang Laosan was interrupted. Wang Lauer had taken healing medicine and the bleeding had stopped. His face was pale, but he glared fiercely at Lin Tianrui and the others, suddenly sneering. Old third, don't let them fool you. This isn't their doing at all. Lin Tianrui's heart skipped a beat. If this was their trick, they would have used it long ago. Why wait until they were heavily injured to bring it out? Am I right, Leader Lin? Or how about you order that beast to attack us and prove it? Lin Tianrui's back was drenched in cold sweat. Luckily, he was wearing thick clothes, so no one could tell. He knew Wang Lauer was right. He couldn't control that high-tier beast hiding in the shadows at all. He hadn't prepared this either. He originally wanted to use this bluff to scare the Wang clan away, but he didn't expect Wang Lauer, even after losing an arm, to see right through it. This man had lost an arm, yet didn't panic, instead quickly regaining his composure. Lin Tianrui grew even more wary of Wang Lauer, but kept a calm face and said, I didn't want to forge a blood feud with your Wang clan, but if you insist on talking like that, then next time, I'll have it bite your neck off. Empty threats. Wang Lauer roared, pointing at his own neck with his remaining hand, mocking him. Then let it bite. Let it bite my neck. I'm standing right here. Come on, let it come right now, or I'll kill you instantly. Lin Tianrui remained silent. Well, you can't, can you? Old third, old fifth, old sixth, you've all been tricked by him. That beast attacking me earlier was just a coincidence. If they could really control such a powerful beast, they could have slaughtered us all from the start. Why wait until now? This Leader Lin looks like he cares about his subordinates. If he had a trump card, why would he let his men die? Wang Laosan and the others looked at each other, clearly embarrassed at having been fooled. Second brother is right. Damn it, we were almost tricked. I didn't expect the government base to be so full of schemes. Wang Lauer glared at Lin Tianrui. Let me tell you, all of you are going to die here today. Not only that, I'm going to butcher you to avenge my arm. Before the word kill could even leave his lips, a white blur flashed by. This time, no one was fighting, so almost everyone clearly saw the white blur. They just couldn't see exactly what it was. The white blur appeared right beside Wang Lauer. In that life or death moment, Wang Lauer's years of combat experience saved half his life. He instinctively jerked his neck to the side, but even so, sharp teeth pierced his neck. A large chunk of flesh was torn from his neck and lower jaw, and fresh blood sprayed out. Second brother, quick, stop the bleeding. Wang Laosan and the others hurriedly gathered around Wang Lauer, while warily looking at the white blur in the distance. This time, they finally saw clearly what the white blur was. It was a white, wolf-like beast. So Lin Tianrui really could control a high-tier beast. Demon King spat out the flesh and bone fragments in its mouth, snorted twice, and a look of clear disdain flashed in its red and blue eyes. Seeing the Wong clan form up in a tense defensive formation, Demon King charged at Wong Lauer again. The Wong clan fell into chaos. Seeing Wong Lauer attacked again, Lin Tianrui was a bit stunned. He knew he absolutely couldn't control that high-tier beast lurking in the shadows. Yet, this time, Wong Lauer really got his neck bitten. The others hadn't figured it out at first. Seeing this, they all looked at Lin Tianrui with admiration. They all thought this was Lin Tianrui's plan. It wasn't until Demon King stopped that everyone collectively froze. Lin Tianrui had brought his most trusted people this time, so there wasn't a single person who didn't recognize Demon King. Even though Demon King's fur color had changed, those unique red and blue eyes were unmistakable. Anyone who looked closely could recognize the silhouette of the old Demon King. Leader, that's Lin Shi's battle beast. Is Lin Shi here? Many people still couldn't believe it. Hadn't Lin Shi left Sha City and gone far away? Could he have come back to save them? Lin Tianrui didn't say a word, his eyes filled with excitement. Earlier, when he caught a fleeting glimpse of a figure, he thought he was hallucinating. He never expected it to actually be Lin Shi. He's back. Long time no see, everyone. A familiar, faint voice rang out from behind the crowd, startling everyone. Lin Shi, wearing a hood, his snow-white figure having appeared behind them at some unknown time. He pulled back his hood. His face looked almost exactly the same as it did half a year ago, showing no signs of weathering. He hadn't changed at all, his skin still fair and clear, still looking like a pretty boy. But no one dared doubt this pretty boy's strength. "You kid," Lin Tianrui and Wang Chao said in unison, their faces beaming with uncontrollable joy. "It's Brother Lin. Hero Lin. Oh my God, getting to see my idol once before I die. It's totally worth it. With Hero Lin here, do you still want to die?" The others were equally thrilled. The gloomy despair on their faces vanished in an instant, though they didn't even realize it themselves. Whenever they saw Lin Shi appear, they felt an absolute certainty of victory in their hearts. Qin Shuang, who had been enduring severe injuries and forcing herself to hold on, felt a wave of relief upon seeing Lin Shi and peacefully passed out. With him here, she could rest easy. Compared to the joy of Lin Tianrui's group, the Wang clan side was in utter chaos. Just Demon King alone had thrown them into disarray. Many had even used burst pills, but it was completely useless. Under the massive gap in tier and skill, any amount of origin power was futile. Demon King only needed to open its mouth or swipe its paw, and every attack dealt a lethal blow to the Wang clan's ranks. Wong Lauer, the one who had just been shouting for Demon King to bite his neck, had his neck snapped by Demon King despite being heavily guarded. Demon King wasn't intentionally targeting him. It was just fulfilling his request. Second brother, Lin Tianrui. Lin Shi's appearance didn't draw much attention. Wang Laosan, his eyes wide and bloodshot, roared, "You dare kill my Wang clan members? You will pay for this 100, 1,000 times over." His eyes were filled with murderous intent, wishing he could slice Lin Tianrui into 1,000 pieces. Lin Tianrui was completely unafraid. "From the moment you killed my soldiers, we became mortal enemies. If your Wang clan doesn't want peace, don't blame others." Wang Laolu gritted his teeth. "Hold off this beast. Even if I die, I'm taking a few of them down with me." With that, he roared and charged at Lin Tianrui's group. Wang Laosan and Wang Laowu didn't hesitate either, charging toward Lin Tianrui together. They no longer cared whether the others lived or died. Right now, their only chance of survival was to risk their lives to capture Lin Tianrui. Seeing Demon King not pursuing them, Wang Laosan secretly rejoiced, telling himself that a beast was still just a beast, lacking their intelligence. But he didn't expect that within the crowd, Demon King would swat away a Tier 3 evolver who had used a burst pill with a single paw. Looking in the direction the three Wang clan members were charging, Demon King's canine face clearly displayed a look of pity. "Die!" Wang Laolu roared, lunging right in front of Lin Tianrui and swinging his blade down at his neck. The clash of weapons rang out. Wang Chao swiftly stepped forward, using his origin weapon to block Wang Laoyu's attack. Seeing Wang Chao intercepted, Wang Laosan and Wang Laowu exchanged a glance, both their eyes flashing with suicidal determination. Qin Shuang was unconscious. Qi Yun was still standing at the edge of the formation, and there was no one left beside Lin Tianrui who could stop the two of them. As for Lin Shi standing next to Lin Tianrui, Wang Laosan and Wang Laowu completely ignored him, assuming he was just another Tier 3 evolver in the squad. The two channeled all their origin power, their faces twisted in ferocity, striking with full force to seal off all of Lin Tianrui's escape routes. Their murderous attack also enveloped Lin Shi and the two other Tier 3 evolvers standing next to Lin Tianrui. Earlier, Wang Laoer had died, and Wang Laosi had his neck snapped by Demon King while unconscious. The other Tier 3 evolvers had also suffered heavy casualties. This was half of the Wang clan's top-tier evolvers. Now, with dead and wounded everywhere, bringing Lin Tianrui back alive was impossible. To survive and return, their only option was to risk their lives to kill Lin Tianrui and hope to atone for their failures. Otherwise, returning would only mean death. Both of them understood clearly. This strike absolutely had to kill Lin Tianrui to avenge Old Fourth. A chilling murderous intent enveloped them as Wang Laosan and Wang Laowu moved at blinding speed. Lin Tianrui instantly sensed the lethal danger. He reflexively raised his origin weapon, but there was no panic on his face. Instead, he calmly watched Wang Laosan and Wang Laowu charge at him with ferocious expressions. The two other Tier 3 soldiers caught in the attack range felt the same. They only managed to raise their weapons halfway, watching helplessly as the fatal blow descended. Like Lin Tianrui, despite the tension and the life-threatening danger, there was no despair in their eyes. Because right now, Lin Shi was standing with them. With their idol by their side, they felt no fear. Wang Laowu, who was naturally more cautious, noticed the expressions on the three men's faces. For some reason, a wave of unease welled up in his heart, especially when he looked at Lin Shi, the young man in white standing next to Lin Tianrui with a calm expression. That feeling of unease grew even stronger. Wang Laowu's heart pounded, and he subconsciously pulled back the force of his blade, leaving himself a small margin for error. In the blink of an eye, Wang Laosan remained completely oblivious. Seeing that Lin Tianrui was about to be cut down by his hand, the corners of his mouth involuntarily curled into a cruel smile. But in that exact moment, Wang Laosan's vision blurred. The weapon in his hand felt as if it had struck something unbreakable. The powerful rebound force left him no time to react. Almost simultaneously, he felt a numbing pain, and his consciousness plunged into eternal darkness. Flesh, bone, and brain matter splattered everywhere. His headless body flew over 10 meters before crashing to the ground. Wang Laosan died without even knowing how he died. But Wang Laowu, who had been more cautious, saw it. The reaction speed of a Tier 4 evolver was no joke. He saw Lin Shi block the attack and smash Wang Laosan's head to pieces. Even though Wang Laowu didn't see it clearly, the sight of Wang Laosan's head exploding right next to him was very real. In that split second, Wang Laowu understood everything. The young man in white standing next to Lin Tianrui was actually a master on par with the supreme ruler of the Wang clan, Wang Tianyuan. No, he might be even stronger than their king. In that moment, Wang Laowu made a decisive choice. His legs gave out, and with a thud, he dropped to his knees in the snow. This decision saved Wang Laowu's life, because Lin Shi's fist stopped right above his head. If he hadn't knelt, Wang Laowu would have followed Wang Laosan. Just the wind from that punch made Wang Laowu's scalp tingle. "Spare me." Wang Laowu buried his face in the dirt, his entire body trembling violently in the snow. Wang Laolu, who had just been restrained by Wang Chao, finally reacted. He screamed hoarsely, "Third brother." The situation had changed too fast. Among the Wang clan members, the strongest were Wang Laoer, Wang Laosan, and Wang Laosi. Yet they had all died in an instant. Wang Laowu had lost all will to fight. Wang Laolu looked back and saw that their squad, which had been trying to hold off Demon King, had already lost more than half its members in the blink of an eye. Seeing the situation before him, Wang Laolu was stunned. Under these circumstances, it was hard for anyone to stay calm. Wang Chao's eyes flashed. Seizing the moment Wang Laolu was dazed, he swiftly flipped his left hand, and a small, sharp triangular dagger plunged straight into Wang Laoyu's stomach. Wang Laolu cried out in pain and desperately fought back against Wang Chao, but Wang Chao restrained him and used the momentum to step back a few paces. Wang Laolu glanced at Wang Laowu groveling on the ground, ignored his bleeding stomach, turned around, and ran straight toward the beach. He tried to flee, but no one on Lin Tianrui's side chased after him. Lin Shi didn't move an inch either. Wang Laolu ran for over 100 meters before suddenly stumbling and falling to the ground. When he crawled back up, his speed was much slower than an ordinary person's. "Leader, should we leave any alive?" Wang Chao asked, still tightly gripping the blood-stained dagger. The dagger Wang Chao used to stab Wang Laolu was coated with the evolver-suppressing powder. They had used this powder earlier to take down Wang Laosi, and had brought 2 doses this time. This was what Wang Chao had kept in reserve, preparing to use it in a desperate situation to drag a Tier 4 Wang clan master to the grave with him. Lin Tianrui looked down at Wang Laowu. "We already have one. No need to keep the other." Wang Laowu lay in the snow, his body trembling. Hearing this, Wang Chao immediately chased after Wang Laolu. It only took a moment to finish off the man who had lost all ability to resist. The others behind Lin Tianrui weren't idle either. Aside from tending to the wounded, the rest went to assist Demon King. They worked with Demon King to wipe out the remaining Tier 3 evolvers of the Wang clan. Demon King killed one with a single bite. Then, seeing a Tier 3 soldier, who had just been smiling goofily at it, about to be fatally wounded by a Wang clan member's dying counterattack, it immediately lunged forward and crushed the Wang clan soldier's head. "Thanks, Big Bro Wolf." The soldier who had just been saved by Demon King grinned foolishly at it. Demon King rolled its eyes helplessly, then looked at Lin Shi, its gaze seeming to say, "Master, can you tell them to stop getting in the way when they can't even help?" Lin Shi saw Demon King's pleading look, pretended not to notice, smiled, and turned to Lin Tianrui. "Leader Lin, have you guys developed a drug that suppresses evolvers?" Lin Shi had just witnessed Wang Laoyu's sudden change. Lin Tianrui seemed to guess what Lin Shi was thinking and replied, "We've developed a drug, or rather, a poison, that can temporarily stagnate an evolver's origin power. This poison temporarily prevents an evolver from using their origin power. Currently, this drug lasts for about 2 minutes on a Tier 3 evolver. For a Tier 4 evolver, the effect only lasts about 20 seconds. As for higher tiers, it hasn't been tested yet." Lin Shi pondered. Even if it's only 20 seconds, against a Tier 4 evolver, that's enough to be lethal. 20 seconds, at the full speed of a Tier 4 evolver, a lot can be done. If it's 20 seconds for Tier 4, then it should still have some effect on Tier 5, even if just for a few seconds. It might even work on him. Lin Tianrui smiled bitterly at Lin Shi. But the extraction process for this drug is incredibly difficult. Just the 2 doses we used today took the Research Institute half a year of full effort work to produce the entire quota. It can't be mass-produced. It can only be used for surprise attacks on high-tier evolvers, as a last resort. Lin Shi nodded, showing he understood. If it could be mass-produced, the government base could probably unite the world in a short time. "Leader Lin, when we get back, could you sell me a dose of this drug?" As long as it was an item without origin power, the treasure basin could normally duplicate it. Lin Shi wanted to see if the treasure basin could duplicate it. Even though his current strength was practically invincible, there was always someone stronger, always a higher mountain. Who knew when he might encounter an equally matched opponent or a powerful origin beast? Having this drug could turn the tide at a crucial moment. Lin Shi had helped them so much, especially today. If not for Lin Shi, they probably would have been completely wiped out. How could Lin Tianrui refuse? Lin Tianrui laughed heartily, patted Lin Shi's shoulder, and said, "Once the next batch of the drug is developed, I'll give priority to you, Brother Lin. It's just that you might need to wait at the base for a while." Lin Shi replied, "It just so happens I have something to discuss with you all this time. I won't be leaving anytime soon." Demon King quickly finished the battle with the help of the other soldiers. After cleaning up the battlefield and covering their tracks, Lin Tianrui led everyone back to the shelter in Sha City. On the way back, Lin Shi maintained the same speed as Lin Tianrui and the others. He was still using his Tier 5 ability, gliding on a snowboard. Demon King ran closely beside Lin Shi. Passing through an area with a lot of thin ice, everyone had to get into the water, either walking or using the thin ice to move. Only Lin Shi seemed to be walking on flat ground, flying straight across. This sight left everyone absolutely dumbfounded. Were their eyes playing tricks on them? Their idol could actually fly. Lin Tianrui caught up to Lin Shi and asked in astonishment, "Brother Lin, what ability is that?" He already had a guess in his mind. Lin Shi smiled faintly, his tone calm. "This is a Tier 6 ability." Hearing this, almost everyone was shocked. Currently, the highest tier in the government base was Tier 4, yet Lin Shi had already reached Tier 6. They looked at Lin Shi, then at Demon King, whose appearance had changed, their eyes filled with fervent worship. Seeing Lin Shi, everyone knew their idol was truly the strongest. Even though Lin Shi was using a snowboard, in everyone's eyes, that snowboard was no different from a legendary flying sword. Asterisk, their idol is an immortal. Oh my god, he's flying on a sword. Asterisk. I can brag about this for the rest of my life. Lin Shi told Lin Tianrui about the special abilities one would gain after unlocking Tier 6. He didn't hide anything from Lin Tianrui. The government base existed for the long-term survival of humanity. As long as someone reached Tier 6, they would eventually learn about the abilities of a Tier 6 evolver. However, he didn't explain his own specific skills. That was Lin Shi's trump card. After hearing Lin Shi's explanation, Lin Tianrui and Wang Chao looked at each other, both seeing the shock in the other's eyes. After Tier 6, were humans even still human? If other countries and factions heard this news, they would definitely spare no cost to cultivate a Tier 6 evolver. They would definitely take action. Lin Tianrui and the others were heavy with thought. Returning to the official base, the trip back was much easier than the trip there. Lin Tianrui thought he would get a good night's sleep after returning. Little did he expect that as soon as they returned to the base, Lin Shi would drop a bombshell of news on him. Humans and origin beasts. Only one species can survive. What? What is going on? The base's new conference room was packed with over 100 people. This meeting included not only all the high-ranking officers and people in power at the base, but also several senior researchers from the Scientific Research Institute. A meeting of this scale was only the second of its kind since the base was established. Lin Tianrui solemnly reported the information Lin Shi had received from Li Chun. The conference room suddenly fell silent. It seemed everyone was struggling to process this news. Only Li Yank pushed up his glasses, a sharp glint flashing in his eyes. He didn't seem as shocked as the others by this news. "Kid Lin, where did you get this information?" Li Yank was the first to speak. He didn't look at Lin Tianrui, but at Lin Shi sitting next to him. Lin Shi answered straightforwardly. "Is this information reliable?" Lin Shi said, "The information is absolutely reliable. I have my own ways of verifying it. But I can't tell you how." Naturally, Lin Shi couldn't reveal that he was warned by the treasure basin, but the treasure basin had never missed a detail. Hearing this, the conference room erupted into murmurs. Everyone present was human, so naturally, they stood on the side of humanity. But the news was too massive. It was hard to believe just based on a few words from Lin Shi, especially since many people present only knew Lin Shi by reputation and knew he was an honorary officer of the base. A middle-aged man stood up and said, "We all know how powerful origin beasts are. If origin beasts attack humans, we naturally have to eradicate them. But currently, the base still has a lot of construction and development work to do, including the loss of the icebreaker and facing the king's base. These are all top priorities. We can't mobilize the base's forces and send our soldiers to die over something that might not even be substantiated. Furthermore, the base is raising quite a few origin beasts. These origin beasts have now become our friends. Do we have to kill them too?" Many officers and soldiers had formed bonds with their battle pets. Hearing this, everyone frowned, looking reluctant. Most people looked toward Lin Shi. They trusted Lin Shi, but they didn't dare believe this news. Did they really have to eradicate all origin beasts for humanity to survive? Earlier, at the base gates, Zhang Qing's face had turned pale. Sun Lang said, "Officer Lin, your battle pet is also an origin beast, and a high-tier one at that. I heard Officer Lin has more than one. Are you going to kill your own battle pets too?" This statement made everyone look at Lin Shi. Lin Shi was the first person to tame an origin beast, and other bases had subsequently followed suit. Hearing this, they were eager to know how Lin Shi would respond. Was the situation really as dire as Lin Shi claimed? Lin Shi had anticipated this situation long ago. He said calmly, "This is a war concerning the survival of humanity. I'm only informing you of this news. Whether you kill them or not is up to you. I'm going to kill them anyway." The underlying meaning was, I'm not relying on you. It doesn't matter if you kill them or not. I can do it alone anyway. As for my companions, I have other methods. First, I will eradicate the other origin beasts. Lin Shi's words were blunt and harsh. This caused everyone's expressions to change. Lin Shi was a Tier 6 evolver. His words and actions made sense, and he had the strength to back them up. But someone still voiced their dissatisfaction. There are too many origin beasts in this world. Even if you kill them, their corpses will be eaten by other origin beasts, which will only stimulate their evolution, without the help of our government. I wonder how Officer Lin plans to handle this. This statement subtly implied that the government was still useful. Lin Shi shot the man a glance. "You don't need to worry about that. I have my ways." Everyone fell silent. It was infuriating. He was clearly being unreasonable and deserved a beating, but they couldn't beat him, so what could they do? Before anyone else could speak, Li Yang stood up and said in a deep voice, "According to our institute's research, since the beginning of the Ice Age, the average temperature this year has dropped by 7 degrees Celsius compared to the same period last year. At the same time, our equipment has detected that the oxygen levels in the air are steadily dropping. As everyone knows, the freezing of large areas of the ocean surface will lead to less and less oxygen on Earth. If the current cooling trend continues, within 50 years, all global oceans could be completely frozen over. If this ice age doesn't end before then, 99% of life on Earth will die from oxygen deprivation. That would be the next mass extinction." Immediately, someone felt Li Shi was exaggerating. "Director, although we are all high-ranking officials, we also know that in Earth's history, ice ages have lasted a very long time, sometimes tens of thousands of years, or even hundreds of millions of years. Moreover, even if the ocean surface freezes and oxygen in the air decreases, how many people are left in the world today? We evolvers don't normally consume that much oxygen anyway." Li Shi sighed. "I was planning to report this to everyone in a few months. We've discovered that the reproduction rate of the origin beasts is incredibly fast. Since they first appeared last year, the number of origin beasts hunted by humanity hasn't even come close to keeping up with their breeding speed. In other words, the current situation is that the more origin beasts we kill, the more there are. Meanwhile, humanity's numbers are only dwindling. What does this mean? I'm sure everyone here understands." As soon as Li Shi finished speaking, the entire hall fell dead silent. What did this mean? Even a fool could understand. Those who initially wanted to talk about peaceful coexistence with the origin beasts were now completely speechless. After that, Li Shi had his students announce the statistical data from the past year. The raw numbers were chilling to hear. The atmosphere in the conference room became incredibly suffocating. It turned out that humanity's living environment was far more dire than they had imagined. Lin Tianrui clearly knew about this long ago. He had borne immense pressure to build additional bases, gathering everyone here to face this unsolvable crisis. Lin Shi watched everyone discuss, remaining silent. The cornucopia showed that the number of origin beasts was constantly increasing. They were breeding too fast. If this dragged on, humanity's hope for victory would only grow dimmer. The temperature was indeed dropping day by day. This extreme cold wave had arrived faster than expected. Unless they evolved to the point where they could survive without oxygen, they would all die sooner or later. The only way to survive was to slaughter the origin beasts in massive numbers and end this extreme cold wave. If humanity lost, high-tier existences like him would definitely be wiped out. Lin Shi didn't know exactly how the losing side would be eradicated, but he couldn't afford to gamble. In the conference room, everyone debated for over half a day. Currently, the majority believed in Lin Shi's argument. But exterminating all the origin beasts in the world was no small feat. It wasn't something that could be resolved just by getting everyone in the base to agree. This required the strength of all humanity across the globe. Which bases to ally with? How to notify them? That was a matter for the base's higher-ups. Lin Shi left the conference room early, bringing Li Shi with him. He came back this time to confirm one extremely crucial point. Were there origin beasts on the ocean floor? If origin beasts appeared at the bottom of the ocean, no matter how hard they fought, it would be nearly impossible to wipe out beasts living thousands of meters deep. If that were the case, humanity would have no reason left to struggle. They would be doomed. After Lin Shi asked, Li Xinke gave a brief answer to his most important question. The ocean floor. There are no origin beasts on the ocean floor. Speaking of which, even terrestrial plants have mutated, so why haven't marine creatures changed at all? Li Xinke muttered to himself. Hearing this, Lin Shi relaxed and breathed a sigh of relief. Returning this time, Lin Shi still stayed in the small courtyard Lin Tianrui had arranged for him previously. Even though Lin Shi hadn't been living there, Lin Tianrui had kept it exactly as it was, even sending people to clean it regularly. It seemed he was always waiting for his return. Lin Shi and Demon King returned to the courtyard. The plan to hunt down the origin beasts couldn't be decided overnight, and Lin Shi also needed time to think about his next steps. Meanwhile, at the King base, thousands of miles away from the official shelter, Wang Tianyuan had been waiting at the base for days without any news from Wang Lauer and the others. He realized his original plan might have gone awry. This time, the forces he dispatched from the King base consisted of half of the Wang family's Tier 4 experts and half of their Tier 3 evolvers. Yet, they had gone and never returned. This outcome was completely beyond his expectations. Wang Tianyuan immediately sent Wang Laoda, the strongest person under his command, to take some men to the small island to investigate. The island was deserted, and the scene had been cleaned up meticulously. However, after a thorough investigation, Wang Laoda still found a few minor traces. Although these traces didn't prove anything, no news was the worst news of all. Wang Laoda didn't even spare the time and effort to secretly make a trip to Sha City. The Sha City base was completely peaceful, with no signs of any commotion. Lin Tianrui and the others were perfectly fine, but Wang Lauer and his group had vanished without a trace. Wang Laodao immediately rushed back to the King base and reported the situation to Wang Tianyuan. Wang Tianyuan was furious. This operation was supposed to be a guaranteed success. There was absolutely no room for error. Yet now, the outcome was completely unexpected. The Wang family had lost more than half of its forces. How could he possibly stomach this? The strength of the official base was originally within their calculations. For such an unexpected result to occur, some massive variable must have intervened. Wang Tianyuan wasn't stupid. On the contrary, he was very smart and cautious. Otherwise, he wouldn't have waited and sent Wang Lauer with reinforcements after Wang Laosan had already set out. My king, what should we do? Wang Laoda asked. Wang Tianyuan's expression was terrifyingly calm. It was like the eerie silence before a storm. The entire grand hall remained silent for a long time before Wang Tianyuan slowly spoke. Find someone to contact the officials. See if Lauer and the others are still alive. If there's no news, then forget it. This time, surprisingly, Wang Tianyuan didn't fly into a rage, but spoke in a chillingly calm tone. Then, he added one more sentence. Wait until I reach Tier 6. I will level Sha City to the ground. The murderous intent in his voice left the entire hall dead silent. Lin Shi waited at the base for another 2 days. During these 2 days, he and Demon King had their meals delivered right to their door. The food in the base was much better than when he previously lived here. As the base developed, living standards had improved. At the very least, origin beast meat was in abundant supply. Demon King finally didn't have to worry about going hungry anymore. What amused Lin Shi was that, according to Wang Chao, the soldiers who wanted to deliver food to him and Demon King fought over the delivery slots every day. They even made a schedule, using brawls or competitions to decide who got to do it today and who got tomorrow. All just to catch a glimpse of Lin Shi and Demon King, to be near their idol, and to breathe the same air. Moreover, they could later brag to their comrades about having spoken to Lin Shi, treating it as a badge of honor. Hearing this, Lin Shi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Over the past few days, Wang Chao kept running over to Lin Shi's courtyard, sharing all the changes and events that had happened in the base during the half-year Lin Shi was away. Lin Shi also got to hear some fresh gossip from Wang Chao. Before you left the base, didn't that subordinate of yours, Liao Peng, get married? Wang Chao excitedly told Lin Shi. Lin Shi looked at Wang Chao, waiting for him to continue. Liao Peng's wife, Zhao Ye, At first, we all thought she was a gentle, well-behaved person. Who would have thought? At this point, Wang Chao deliberately paused, seemingly eager for Lin Shi to ask what happened next. Crunch, crunch. Lin Shi remained silent. Demon King, however, spoke up first. Why do people who tell stories always leave them hanging? Can you just tell the story properly? The bones I'm chewing on don't even taste good anymore. Wang Chao almost forgot there was a Demon King who understood human speech right next to him. He chuckled awkwardly and said, "Brother Wolf, don't be impatient. I'll tell you right now. Zhao Yu seemed very decent and gentle at first. After marrying Liao Pang, they lived peacefully for a while. But didn't you build up Liao Pang's reputation before you left? So, many people in the base wanted to suck up to him. But that kid is truly loyal. When others offered gifts, he refused them all, and he didn't leak a single piece of information about you. I'm the commander, but after you left, I had people keep an eye on the situation in the base. At the time, my subordinates found that Liao Pang was a pretty good guy. Later, when those people couldn't get anything out of Liao Pang, they went to Zhao Yu. Surprisingly, Zhao Yu didn't waver at all in the face of so many supplies and benefits. That left quite an impression on me. I even thought to myself that Liao Pang had married a good wife. But then, things took a turn I completely didn't expect. Wang Chao paused again. He wanted to leave another cliffhanger, but catching the unfriendly glare from the Demon King beside him, he quickly coughed and continued. Do you remember your old classmate, Su Feifei? I heard she was best friends with Zhao Yu. Lin Shi gave a non-committal mm. It turned out that after Lin Shi left, Su Feifei still hadn't given up on clinging to him. Since Lin Shi wasn't around, she went around telling everyone that she used to have a relationship with him. In this base, other than Lin Shi and Zhao Yu, who else knew what really happened between Lin Shi and Su Feifei? Su Feifei capitalized on that. Because of this, the people who previously couldn't get anything out of Liao Pang and Zhao Yu started flocking to give gifts to Su Feifei. When Lin Tianrui found out about this, he initially wanted to handle it himself, because he knew Lin Shi had absolutely nothing to do with Su Feifei. Lin Shi didn't even want to give that woman the time of day. Unexpectedly, before he could act, someone else beat him to it. The very next day, while Su Feifei was still rejoicing over the massive amount of supplies she had received, rumors started spreading throughout the base that she and Lin Shi had no relationship whatsoever. They were just high school classmates, and she had even scammed him. She had scammed Lin Shi out of a lot of money, and their relationship was terrible. This rumor infuriated Su Feifei to the point of losing control. After the rumor broke out, no one gave Su Feifei any more gifts. In fact, it was said that all the gifts she had received over the previous few days were stolen in the middle of the night. Su Feifei was even harassed by a few thugs. It caused quite a scene that night. At the time, Wang Chao was the captain of the patrol squad. If it were anyone else, Wang Chao would have definitely investigated it thoroughly. But seeing it was Su Feifei, he just went through the motions. He secretly dealt with those rule-breaking thugs, but outsiders didn't know the truth. Everyone just thought Su Feifei had brought it upon herself and saw that no one was standing up for her. Su Feifei somehow found a few hooligans and investigated who in the base knew she had no relationship with Lin Shi. It turned out to be Zhao Yu. Furious, she went to find Zhao Yu to cause trouble. Using supplies as bait, she brought along a few other women and threw a massive crying fit right in front of Zhao Yu. To abide by the base's rules, they didn't fight physically, but they viciously cursed at Zhao Yu in public, even humiliating her. Su Feifei thought Liao Pang was a pushover who wouldn't dare do anything to her. She didn't expect Liao Pang to be a fiercely protective husband. Moreover, he didn't think Zhao Yu was at fault at all. Right then and there, he beat Su Feifei up and called over those hooligans. Wang Chao, naturally, turned a blind eye. Unable to take it, Su Feifei started trying to seduce Liao Pang. Unable to stand the harassment, Liao Pang planned to move out of the base. When Lin Tianrui heard about this, he immediately sent people to clear out a spacious small courtyard for Liao Pang inside the inner compound. The central square was where the high-ranking officials and power holders of the base lived, and it was heavily guarded. Ordinary people like Su Feifei couldn't possibly get in. Su Feifei was also strictly warned about spreading rumors. If she did it again, she would be kicked out of the base. Only then did the matter settle down. Lin Shi frowned after hearing Wang Chao's gossip. You think that's the end of it? Wang Chao laughed. There's more. Lin Shi was also curious. Exactly. Brother Lin, you must never underestimate women, Wang Chao said. Just over a month after Liao Pang and the others moved into the small courtyard, Su Feifei somehow contracted syphilis. She even infected a few other evolvers. Not long after, she was lured out of the base and killed. And that's how Su Feifei's story ends. Wang Chao looked at Lin Shi's expression, which seemed quite deep and hard to read. Was this all Zhao Ya's doing? Lin Shi asked. Su Feifei brought disaster upon herself and deserved to die. But Zhao Ya holding such a grudge against Su Feifei and using such cunning methods, that was something Lin Shi hadn't expected. The last time he met Zhao Ya, he already felt this woman wasn't as simple as she looked. He didn't expect he had still underestimated her. It was her. Wang Chao only needed to investigate a little to figure it out. He told Lin Shi this partly to chat, and partly as a reminder. Liao Pang was now tightly controlled by Zhao Ya. After all, Liao Pang was Lin Shi's only nominal subordinate. In the apocalypse, human hearts change easily. Even though Liao Pang had received many favors from Lin Shi, Wang Chao still felt he should give Lin Shi a heads up. After Wang Chao took his leave, Lin Shi went to Liao Pang's current residence, an address he got from Wang Chao. He didn't bring Demon King. His return wasn't a secret, yet Liao Pang hadn't come to visit him these past few days. So, he decided to take the initiative to visit the man who was once half a subordinate to him. The square was filled with spiritual power detectors, so Lin Shi didn't use his spiritual power. He followed the directions to the gate of Liao Pang's courtyard. Liao Pang's residence was much smaller than Lin Shi's outer dragon courtyard. It was a pre-apocalyptic 3-story rural house without a yard. When Lin Shi arrived at the door, his incredible hearing allowed him to catch a conversation coming from the second floor. Ah, the boss is back. No matter what you say, I have to go see him. I know everything I have now is thanks to the boss. I can't be ungrateful. Zhao Yi sounded frustrated at his stubbornness. I've told you so many times. Your employment relationship with Lin Shi ended the moment the apocalypse started. The things you did for him later, and what he gave you, what but just the compensation you deserved. You don't owe him. He's too high profile, and there are too many people who want to harm him. Do you know how much trouble we've run into this past half year? Liao Pang said helplessly. Didn't Wang Chao help us resolve all that? Resolve? Look at the scar on your chest. It almost hit your heart. You almost died, do you know that? That was when I went out of the base and ran into the remnants of the Qi family. I got hurt. And after that incident, I wiped out the rest of the Qi family. It won't happen again. Zhao Yi grew agitated. And what about the wound on my hand? A few days ago, that icicle almost fell on my head. And what's with all those women in the base trying to ride Lin Shi's coattails? When they couldn't get close to Lin Shi, they came looking for you. They wanted to kill me and replace me. All of this was caused by Lin Shi. Liao Pang was heartbroken. Wasn't it investigated later and proven to be just an accident? Yeah, you're just overly sensitive because you're pregnant. I'm sensitive. Hubby, I don't need you to be rich or powerful. I just want our family to be safe. Is that too much to ask? Touch my belly. We only have 5 months left to wait for our baby. I really don't want to live in fear and anxiety anymore. I'm begging you, stop believing in Lin Shi, okay? He's already too strong. He doesn't need you anymore. Hubby, for the sake of me and our child, for our little family, can you please have some self-respect? Saying this, Zhao Yi burst into tears. Unable to bear it, Liao Pang hurriedly comforted his wife. Zhao Yi continued. You know Lin Shi is very strong now, very capable. Countless people want to follow him. But you're just a tier 2 evolver right now. Even if you get a little something, can you keep it? How can you even help him now? I just hope you don't get dragged into his mess again. Liao Pang fell silent, his voice heavy. Zhao Yi reminded him again. Wasn't Su Feifei enough of a lesson? She wanted to use Lin Shi's influence for her own gain. And what happened to her? Yeah, you misunderstand. I don't want to use the boss. Liao Pang said, his voice strained. Zhao Yi's tone turned angry. Then you definitely shouldn't go. You're still just tier 2. Lin Shi's dog is stronger than you. You're the only one who thinks he sees you as one of his own. If you go, then don't ever contact me and our child again. A crisp slap echoed out. Zhao Yi tried to suppress her voice, trembling as if afraid others would hear. You hit me. Liao Pang, you're so cruel. I'm the one who wants to spend the rest of my life with you. I'm carrying your child. And you hit me over a few words. You only think about outsiders. You don't think about me and our child at all. I plan everything for you. And you hit me for telling the truth. Lin Shi didn't listen any further. He didn't knock, just turned and walked away. The contract between him and Liao Pang was supposed to end when the apocalypse began. Initially, Lin Shi was just using Liao Pang. He didn't expect Liao Pang to survive. Believing in him, Liao Pang continued their pre-apocalyptic agreement. This surprised Lin Shi a bit. Later, he saved Liao Pang once when he was in trouble. From then on, as far as Lin Shi was concerned, they were even. But Liao Pang didn't think so. He continued to provide information and work for him multiple times. That was why Lin Shi left the shelter he had built for Liao Pang, wanting him to have a better life. Liao Pang called himself a subordinate, but in reality, Lin Shi considered him half a friend. Whatever. Lin Shi shook his head. Liao Pang now had a wife, a child, and a stable home. If his existence brought trouble to Liao Pang, then cutting contact was the best choice. Although Zhao Ye was deep and scheming, she was sincere toward Liao Pang and truly wanted to build a life with him. Then let her have her way. Lin Shi returned home. The next 2 days were very quiet. Liao Pang didn't come, and Lin Shi didn't mind. He cultivated and meditated. 2 days later, a group of uninvited guests arrived. Having nothing to do, Lin Shi went to the door to watch the commotion. The arrivals were from the King base. They were from the Wang family, and it was an old acquaintance. Wang Fengshan. Last time, their plan at Dalaloi Island, despite failing, had caused the official base to lose face. But as long as the two bases hadn't officially declared war, there was still a chance to mend things. If Lin Tianrui was still furious, killing these people wouldn't be a big deal either. Because this time, the people Wang Tianyuan sent were mostly those without real power in the Wang family. Wang Fengshan had been severely punished by Wang Tianyuan last time for speaking out of turn. He was lucky to keep his life. So this time, this thankless task naturally fell to him again. You dare come here again? The captain guarding the gate saw Wang Fengshan's familiar yet detestable face and angrily blocked his path. Wang Fengshan knew this trip was dangerous and was terrified of dying, but he still tried to act calm. I have brought the King base's sincerity this time. I want to see your leader. Wang Chao personally came out to stand at the base's entrance. Seeing Wang Chao, Wang Fengshan couldn't help but shrink his neck, remembering the aching pain in his nose from being punched last time, but he pretended nothing had happened. We're old acquaintances, hee. Captain Wang, please take me inside. I want to see your leader. Our leader isn't someone just any random dog or cat can see. What the hell are you? Wang Chao was still furious about the negotiations last time. If Lin Shi hadn't shown up, they would have been dead. Wang Fengshan felt resentful, but didn't dare talk back. He could only force a smile. Captain Wang must be joking. Captain Wang is truly humorous and funny. And handsome, too. It's too cold outside. Let's go inside to talk. Seeing that his hypocrisy wasn't working, Wang Fengshan had to soften his stance, almost kneeling before Wang Chao, just wanting to keep his miserable life. Wang Chao looked terrifying today. If Lin Shi hadn't brought back the news regarding humanity and the origin beasts, the grudge between them and the King base would have only grown. The next plan would have been to wear down the King base's forces and take back the icebreaker. But now, the threat to humanity's survival was imminent. The grudges between the bases had to be temporarily set aside. Now that they knew the King base was founded by the Wang family, a hidden clan and a formidable faction, Lin Tianrui had originally planned to send someone to the King base to invite them to cooperate in hunting the origin beasts. Wang Fengshan's arrival was perfectly timed. Wang Chao snorted coldly. Come in. Wang Fengshan hurriedly followed, bowing and scraping. The Wang family's attitude this time was completely different from the last. Almost everyone noticed this. Among the crowd were some soldiers and officers who had participated in the previous battle. Looking at Wang Fengshan's back, they sneered. Sir, this guy was so arrogant last time. Why is he acting like a dog now? He's probably scared from the beating. This guy must be here to sue for peace. If they want peace, their leader should have come. What's the point of sending a dog? How about we kill all these dogs to scare the rest? Good idea. I'll suggest it to the leader later. Although these words sounded like they were spoken to the people next to them, the sharp-eared and sharp-eyed evolvers heard everything clearly. Wang Fengshun could only blush, gritting his teeth and pretending not to hear anything as he hurriedly followed Wang Chao. The unfriendly glares around him made him fear he'd be beaten to death if he walked too slowly. Lin Shi stood in the crowd, observing. Lin Tianrui wanted to cooperate with the Wang family to exterminate the origin beasts. Honestly, Lin Shi didn't think the chances of success were high. The reason? The Wang family probably already knew about this. For tens of thousands of years, humanity had always been mired in war, rarely enjoying peace. Lin Shi didn't really trust people. Trusting people only brought suffering and made one easily exploited. It was hard enough to be suspicious and still try to be good, let alone in a world with so many people. Moreover, even the hidden clans couldn't be 100% sure of the authenticity of this matter. How many people would take advantage of the chaos for their own gain? Lin Shi naturally wouldn't waste time trying to persuade them. He stayed at the base initially to deliver the news to Lin Tianrui and to confirm if there were origin beasts in the ocean. Now he was here to get the drug that Lin Tianrui and the others had used before. The drug that could suppress the origin power in an evolver's body. Once he got this drug, he would leave the base and set off again. Whatever Lin Tianrui did had little to do with him. If he could help, great. If not, it didn't matter. Rather than relying on others, he trusted his own strength and his origin beast army more. What worried him most was the cornucopia's statement that the losing side would have their data erased. He and Lishinka had discussed this erasure. It definitely didn't mean complete annihilation, but rather erasing a portion of the losing side's dominant species. For example, high-tier origin beasts. They might only keep some low-tier, fast-breeding, low-potential origin beasts as food for the winning side, or directly strip the losing side of their power, causing them to regress. As for how exactly it would be done, it was probably beyond their imagination, just like when the apocalypse first began. Lin Shi walked back to the courtyard. No matter what, he had to protect his origin beast army. If he couldn't protect them all, he at least had to protect Demon King. Returning to the courtyard, he trained with Demon King for a while. Unexpectedly, that afternoon, Lishinka personally brought over what Lin Shi needed. That fast, Lin Shi looked at the vial in his hand. Inside was some white powder. He knew what it was. Lishinka said angrily, "I've been leading volunteers for over 2 months. It's a good thing you came back right on time. Otherwise, was I supposed to make you wait another 2 or 3 months?" The old man's words were harsh, but his heart was soft. His eyes were dark and sunken, showing he had been staying up late a lot recently. Lin Shi smiled and thanked Lishinka. "Thanks, old man. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth." Lishinka fumed. "I'm leaving tomorrow. Take care of your health. Next time I come back, I hope you're as healthy as you are today," Lin Shi said. Now that he had the drug, he didn't need to stay any longer. He had to go hunt origin beasts. Every day delayed meant more origin beasts. Hearing that Lin Shi was leaving immediately, Lishinka was slightly stunned, but quickly regained his composure. "Fine. You come when you need something and leave when you don't, right? You burn bridges faster than anyone." After saying that, Lishinka looked away and muttered, "Be careful out there. Next time we meet, I hope you're still in one piece." Lin Shi showed a rare moment of warmth, taking out a test tube filled with a vibrant green liquid. "This is for you. I guarantee I'll be fine. Stop worrying about me. Do me a favor." The next morning, just as the sun rose, Lin Shi didn't even say goodbye to Lin Tianrui. He just gave a few instructions to a soldier and left the base with Demon King. Just like last time, he left quietly. Only this time, many people witnessed this scene from the city walls. It wasn't just Lin Tianrui and Wang Chao. Everyone knew Lin Shi was leaving to hunt origin beasts on a massive scale. Regardless of Lin Shi's motives, this action was protecting all of humanity. They saluted the hero. Not long after Lin Shi left, someone from the Scientific Research Institute came looking for Liao Pang, saying Director Li had invited him over. A few days later, Liao Pang left the Scientific Research Institute, officially becoming a Tier 3 evolver. With Tier 3 strength, he could live very well in the base. This sudden surge in strength was more tempting to many people than anything else, stirring up their greed. Liao Pang only told the public that he had cooperated with the Research Institute to complete an experiment. The content and process of the experiment were classified and couldn't be disclosed. Later, The research institute also confirmed Liao Peng's words. They strictly warned others not to pry into the details of that secret experiment. This deterred those with ulterior motives from investigating further. But afterward, Liao Peng stood there quietly, his eyes red as he gazed in the direction of the outer dragon courtyard, where Lin Shi used to live for a very long time. Lin Shi didn't care about the behind-the-scenes drama happening in the base. He had already given all the instructions he needed to. He stepped onto his snowboard. By now, he was already hundreds of kilometers away from the Sha City base. Yesterday, he had given Li Xinke a bottle of liquid extracted from the divine tree's core as payment to help him upgrade Liao Peng's strength. Consider it the final parting gift between him and Liao Peng. Having known Liao Peng for over a year, he had helped Liao Peng no less than Liao Peng had helped him. Therefore, he didn't feel he owed Liao Peng anything. He was naturally a solitary person, accustomed to living alone. He didn't want to actively help others, nor did he want to receive too many favors. If he gave, he would calculate the return. If he received, he would grow soft-hearted. Before leaving, this bit of goodwill was meant to sever the last shred of kindness he had for Liao Peng. The next time they met, if Liao Peng or the people around him had any malicious intent toward him, Lin Shi wouldn't hesitate to strike. Lin Shi stood on his snowboard, his eyes slightly unfocused, as if recalling something. Last night, after Li Xinke left, an old acquaintance had visited the courtyard. Qi Yun. Or rather, Xie Qingshan now. Qi Yun brought Lin Shi some news. Coincidentally, Qi Yun's news was also related to Zhaoya. But Qi Yun spoke very calmly. He said, "A few days ago, when I was bored and spreading my spiritual power near the square, I accidentally overheard a woman talking to someone, so I casually eavesdropped a bit. That woman told a man that she hoped he would use an icicle as a weapon tomorrow when she went to the prison, and time it so the icicle would fall and injure her. This woman was clearly just an ordinary person, but the person she was talking to was a Tier 3 Volver. I found it strange that an ordinary person could order around a Tier 3 Volver, so I looked into it." Hearing this, Lin Shi had already guessed what happened. It turned out this woman used her husband's name to ask someone for a favor, promising a lot of supplies for them to do the job. Then, rumors spread in the prison that someone wanted to kill Liao Peng's wife, using this method to get close to someone. "You know who did it, right?" Lin Shi smiled, but said nothing. Qi Yun said, "Do you want me to help deal with that woman? I guarantee it won't affect the relationship between you and your subordinate. But I see your subordinate isn't completely clueless either." "No need," Lin Shi replied calmly, showing no anger. "He was never my subordinate to begin with. Now he's just a piece of trash. Discarding him is fine. You didn't come to me just to talk about this trivial matter, did you?" With Lin Shi's current strength, this matter was no different from ants fighting over a leftover apple core. It was indeed a trivial matter like ants fighting, but Lin Shi just didn't want to waste his energy, while Qi Yun was very free. "Of course not. I have to thank you for saving me again. I still haven't had the chance to thank you for the antidote from before." Qi Yun solemnly expressed his gratitude. "So you were on the island back then too?" "I was just helping out in passing," Lin Shi asked despite knowing the answer, raising an eyebrow with an indifferent expression. This attitude made Qi Yun want to beat him up. In the past, Qi Yun was always the one acting arrogant, but now Lin Shi was the one putting on airs. Oh well, who asked him to be his cousin and savior? "I'll help you keep an eye on this base. You just go do what you need to do," Qi Yun said, curling his lip. "I'm leaving tomorrow." The two of them clearly rarely met before, but now they found each other quite agreeable, and their conversation flowed naturally. Qi Yun was naturally casual and free-spirited, while Lin Shi, because of Qi Yun's near-death experience and Qi Yi bringing him the news, had let go of his grudge against Qi Yun. The two then discussed the hidden clans and the current war for survival between origin beasts and humans. They chatted for a long time, late into the night, before Qi Yun left. Before leaving, he deliberately left behind several thousand gene pills for Lin Shi. Such a massive amount of gene pills obviously couldn't be exchanged in a short time. Actually, Lin Shi didn't need that many gene pills right now, but he still stored them away carefully. Lin Shi pulled his thoughts back. Those things were just a brief prelude. The most important task he had to do was still ahead. There were currently over 10 million origin beasts worldwide, while the number of survivors recorded by the bases was only a few million. Yes, just a few million. Not tens of millions, not hundreds of millions. In the early stages of the apocalypse, humans and many wild animals died en masse after the sudden environmental changes. Later, the temperature dropped to tens of degrees below 0 Celsius. Those accustomed to living in tropical and subtropical regions were the first to succumb. Disease, freezing to death, and the collapse of the medical system were also major causes of mass human casualties. Regions near the poles almost became forbidden zones for survival. Then the origin beasts appeared, becoming the heaviest burden, crushing the global population. Most origin beasts were carnivorous. Their evolution and higher intelligence made them realize that hunting humans was easier than hunting their own kind. Except for a few military bases that initially had firearms and could operate, survivors in other places were almost entirely wiped out by origin beasts. The Shah City base was now massive in scale. How many countries in the world reacted as quickly as Xia country and had a powerhouse like Lin Shi to help? Therefore, Lin Shi's campaign to slaughter the origin beasts, even if one-sided, was a protracted war. Moreover, among the origin beasts, there were kings that evolved extremely fast. More than half of the origin beasts in Xia country had died by Lin Shi's hands. The rest were left to Lin Tianrui. Lin Tianrui would definitely execute the next plan well. The first step was to wipe out all the origin beasts within the country. Lin Shi's target was outside Xia country. Arriving at his first stop abroad, Lin Shi found that the living conditions here were much harsher than domestically. Snow covered the ruins of the cities. Origin beasts roamed everywhere without any fear. Some hunters were surrounded and attacked by a large number of origin beasts, their tragic screams echoing out. Lin Shi released his entire origin beast army and simply said 2 words, "Kill them all." Whenever he cleared out the origin beasts in a city, he would often encounter some survivors. A few lucky ones saved by Lin Shi would cling to him, seeking protection. But Lin Shi naturally wouldn't pay them any mind. No good deed goes unpunished. In the apocalypse, helping others was never easy. In the case of encountering lucky survivors, he would just leave behind a large number of Tier 1 origin beast corpses and leave. The biggest threat in the city had been eliminated by him. If these survivors still couldn't survive, then he had no other way. As for those with ulterior motives, Lin Shi couldn't be bothered to care. The slightly smarter ones would know to back off when threatened. As for the ignorant ones, he wouldn't waste time and would just kill them directly. Just like that, step by step, he eradicated the origin beasts in city after city. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, Lin Shi had traversed more than half of the blue planet. The final 2 years. In those 2 years, Lin Shi had swept through 3 major continents. The number of origin beasts he killed was countless. The cornucopia system showed that the number of origin beasts had decreased by millions. This proved Lin Shi's battle record over the past 2 years. At this moment, Lin Shi's Tier 6 origin power had reached its peak. Host data, Lin Shi, 22 years old. Evolution level, Gene Lock Tier 6. Origin power, 100,000 units. Spiritual power, Tier 6. Telekinesis, 99,560 units. Abilities, Plant Growth Acceleration, Beast Control. System detects the host has met the origin power requirements for the next evolution. Warning, still lacking 440 units of telekinesis to upgrade. Over the past 2 years, Lin Shi had continuously used his plant growth acceleration ability to stimulate the growth of mutated plants, while also collecting other mutated plants along the way. In addition, Lin Shi used every spare moment to meditate and cultivate. Currently, Lin Shi's spiritual power had almost reached its limit, just 1 step away from reaching Tier 7. As for his origin power, it had reached its limit long ago. With an abundant supply of origin beasts, his origin power growth rate was incredibly fast. The scale of his origin beast army in his spatial dimension had expanded to over 500 in the past 2 years. Among them, Demon King had long surpassed Lin Shi, advancing to Tier 7. The Tier 7 Demon King was now stronger than even Lin Shi. Its original ability to shoot 100 ice blades had now become 1,000, with blinding speed and terrifying destructive power. Even ordinary Tier 6 origin beasts would find it hard to withstand. Demon King alone could even hold its own against an army of Tier 5 origin beasts. Thanks to millions of origin beast corpses, the gibbon, the leopard, and Xiaobai, and Tyrant had all reached Tier 6. Each had their own unique attributes. After reaching Tier 6, the gibbon could release a colorless, odorless neurotoxin within a certain range. The leopard was incredibly fast. Its speed directly affected its ability to deploy its powers. Only the Tier 7 Demon King could catch up to it. Xiaobai had an ability similar to Demon King's, able to create extremely fast wind blades that were invisible and formless, making them hard to dodge. Tyrant, a fully grown Tier 6 giant panda, was the leader of the Panda clan in the Origin Beast Army. Its ability significantly enhanced its physical strength. It ranked at the top among the current Origin beasts. Even the giant panda Hualan only ranked second, because Tyrant and Hualan were together. That's right, they formed an interesting romance. Hualan conquered the entire giant panda clan, while Tyrant conquered Hualan, Jiji, and Huahua. Both of their abilities were related to spiritual power, but for some reason, they just couldn't break through to Tier 6. The other Origin beasts that had followed Lin Shi, along with most of the wolves in Demon King's pack, had mostly reached Tier 5. The remaining adult Origin beasts were at least Tier 4. Add to that the immature Origin beasts born over the past 2 years, numbering over 200, all at Tier 1. By now, the earliest born group of Origin beasts had leveled up to Tier 3. This was thanks to Lin Shi controlling their food supply. Over the past 2 years, Lin Shi had a plan. He focused on training the few Origin beasts that had followed him from the beginning. As for the others, once they reached Tier 5, he stopped feeding them Origin power-infused beast meat, replacing it with artificial Origin beast meat. At the same time, he restricted the breeding speed of the Origin beast pack. He wanted to keep this Origin beast army. But he didn't know if this spatial dimension could prevent the extinction of their species. He didn't want to end up nurturing a viper in his bosom, because during his hunt for Origin beasts, he had also killed quite a few people. In his previous life, Lin Shi thought he understood the evil of human nature perfectly, but his experiences over the past 2 years had completely changed his perspective. For example, today, Lin Shi's spiritual power detected a tribe-like base in this city. But when he saw the scene inside, he found it even more horrifying than the base he had encountered in Tibet. Because here, they didn't just keep their own kind in captivity, but specifically women. Most of the women in the base were pregnant, yet there wasn't a single child to be seen. When Lin Shi's spiritual power swept over, he saw a humanoid figure gnawing on a newborn baby. "Kill them," Lin Shi ordered. Demon King took the lead, charging into the base with the other Origin beasts. The Origin beast army behind them attacked with full force. In no time, the cold, windy city was filled with the stench of blood, screams, and groans. The battle ended quickly. Demon King led the Origin beast army back to Lin Shi's side, bringing the spoils of war. Human corpses on the left, Origin beast corpses on the right. A few hundred survivors, mostly women, were driven far away and didn't dare approach. Lin Shi, as usual, left a few Tier 1 Origin beasts for them, then prepared to leave with Demon King and the others. This place was thousands of kilometers away from the nearest base. He wasn't a savior and couldn't escort these women there. Moreover, the nearest base belonged to another country, which barely had any decent bases left. Lin Shi couldn't save them. Just then, a skinny, filthy figure dashed out from the crowd. It was a little boy. His skin and hair were so dirty, it was hard to tell their original color. Yet, this boy possessed extraordinary courage, quickly weaving through the pack of giant beasts, each one much larger than him. He arrived in front of Lin Shi, blocking his path just as he was about to leave. Lin Shi couldn't help but stop and look at the boy. At a glance, the boy was no older than 10. His small face was gaunt, but it revealed terrifyingly large eyes. Those dark brown eyes were like a pool of clear water, so transparent you could see straight to the bottom. Ordinary people, seeing Lin Shi accompanied by beasts that had just slaughtered humans, would have long fled in terror. The braver ones would only dare to bow from a distance, while the cowards would have run away, disappearing without a trace. This was the first time such a young child had crossed through his beast army and dared to block his way. Actually, Lin Shi had been paying attention to this boy with his spiritual power from the start, because he was the only child in this base. A crane among a flock of chickens, It was hard not to notice him. But Lin Shi didn't want to meddle in other people's business, which was why he ignored him. At this moment, the boy spoke up. Hello, mister. My name is Lin Siyuan. I have a superpower that can heal people's injuries. I can help heal your pets. Can you take me home? Wandering the world for the past 2 years, Lin Shi had encountered many national factions. With his photographic memory, he had picked up several foreign languages. Currently, his spiritual power and memory had developed to a level ordinary people couldn't comprehend. He learned foreign languages incredibly fast. Basically, he only needed a few days to learn a language well enough to understand and converse. Heal injuries? Lin Shi asked in return. He had never seen a human at Tier 2 possess a special ability. Seeming to know Lin Shi didn't believe him, Lin Siyuan walked up to a Tier 4 wild wolf with an injured leg. Trembling, he reached out his small hand and placed it on the wolf's thigh. He whispered softly, "Don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. I'll help heal your wound. Don't move, and please don't eat me. I'm a good person." The wild wolf indeed didn't react aggressively, because Lin Shi had strictly ordered the beasts not to eat humans. Without an order or immediate danger, they were not to attack humans randomly. Then, right before the eyes of Lin Shi and all the beasts, the wound on the wild wolf's thigh, where the skin and fur had been torn open, healed at an astonishing speed visible to the naked eye. Lin Shi was slightly surprised, but only slightly. After 3 years of the apocalypse, survivors who could absorb origin power on their own were now at least Tier 2. After all, reaching Tier 2 only required a total of 100 units of origin power. As for spiritual power, after enduring so much torture and surviving, their spiritual power had basically all reached Tier 2. Not just Tier 2, Tier 3 evolvers were also everywhere. But the beast's strength grew much faster. Currently, Lin Shi saw that most adult beasts basically had Tier 3 to Tier 5 strength, and he had even encountered a few Tier 6 beast kings. Compared to the beasts, human evolution was truly too arduous. Especially in terms of spiritual power, most people were stuck at Tier 3. But beasts seemed to have no limits. As long as they absorbed origin power, they could continuously advance. Because of this, Lin Shi was even more eager to advance. Although the boy in front of him was very special, possessing a rare ability at Tier 2, Lin Shi still didn't want to take him along. It would slow him down and cause unnecessary trouble. Currently, his beast army's self-healing capabilities were very strong. Minor injuries basically healed after a night's rest. But as Lin Shi tried to leave, Lin Siyuan had no intention of giving up. Lin Shi saw his pant leg tightly gripped by the boy and frowned. The boy was so skinny and small, he was afraid that if he used force, the boy's bones would break. So he temporarily let the boy hold on to him. Lin Shi said coldly, his voice full of murderous intent, "Let go. Otherwise, those corpses will be your fate." "No, I won't let go. Mister, you're a good person. You're different from them." Lin Siyuan looked up at Lin Shi with his clear eyes. There wasn't a trace of fear in that pure gaze. Lin Shi sneered, revealing his white teeth. "I've killed twice as many people as the bad guys you're talking about." Demon King stood to the side, looking at Lin Shi, then at Lin Siyuan, then back at Lin Shi. Its expression seemed to say, "Wow, look at Master scaring the little kid. But Mister is a good person. Siyuan isn't wrong." Lin Shi looked toward the trembling women in the distance. "Where are you from?" "I used to know a few sisters and aunties, but most of them didn't understand what I was saying. Before, I was in this camp healing those bad people. Some of them understood my language. I didn't actually want to heal them, but I didn't want to die. If I die, I can't go home. I want to go home." Most of the people in this camp were natives of this country. Although they all had black hair and black eyes, the name Lin Siyuan sounded very much like someone from Xia country. Lin Shi frowned, suddenly realizing something. Such a young child had managed to survive in the apocalypse for 3 years. Then how old was he 3 years ago? And how did he survive alone in the apocalypse for so long? Because in the apocalypse, there was a saying, absolutely never underestimate the elderly and children who survive the apocalypse. Could it be that besides his healing ability, there was something else special about this boy? Lin Siyuan's bright, pure eyes made Lin Shi wonder how someone who had been through the apocalypse could maintain such a gaze. Even though he was just a child, being stared at by those eyes made Lin Shi feel a bit uncomfortable. He asked, "How do you know I'm a good person?" Lin Siyuan answered innocently, Mr. Smells Nice. You don't stink. Lin sure thought this boy had some ability to judge character. It turned out to be this. He showered regularly. Of course he smelled better than other survivors. Lin sure felt a bit helpless. Where is your home? My home is at. Lin Siyuan gave an address. The address Lin Siyuan mentioned was exactly the next country Lin sure planned to visit. It wasn't Xia country. Moreover, Lin Siyuan wasn't speaking the Xia country language. Had he guessed wrong? But right now, almost every city in this world was covered in snow. How could he find an exact address? He still had a lot to do, and bringing along a burdensome child meant he couldn't even use his spatial dimension freely. Lin sure wanted to avoid Lin Siyuan.